monster through it.
When you were trying to drink, I could see they were hanging down. I didn't know if they're affecting you.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
We're live.
Oh, we're rolling?
We're rolling.
Oh, good. What's up, everybody? Where are we going with it today? I got the attire. Come on. Don't make me waste a good hat.
Well, first,
Shout out
to, my sister's in dental hygiene. She teaches that, and she wanted to let everybody know October is National Dental Hygiene Month.
Okay.
And requested
that
we remind everybody to get their teeth looked at and cleaned by your dental hygienist.
There you go. You heard it here first. Get your teeth did.
Love you, sis. Remember, good oral hygiene is important.
While I'm chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
It's really good for my teeth.
All right. That's
another shout out.
That's out of the way.
So, a shout out to Jessica and Brent for we got our first gifts to the channel. Hey, is that awesome or what? They went to the fudge factory where you can get your fudge packed and shipped out to you. I got it hanging on the wall somewhere, probably somewhere in here, I'm thinking.
They got me a coffee cup.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is awesome.
Got our first gifts to the channel.
I know.
That's cool.
That's sweet, man. So happy with the way this is turning out.
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah. I like it.
Getting positive feedback from people that are listening, so that's cool. They're enjoying it.
Yeah, last week was a little gloomy. I mean, there was a little humor in it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just the world's gloomy right now. It's hard to always find the humor in it. You can't not talk about the stuff, right?
I get it.
I mean,
I get it.
Kitchen table issues that we're getting into here, and I mean, who ain't talking about getting annihilated in a nuclear war right now?
I get it.
So yeah,
but
we want to put a little humor into it too.
Right. When I was driving with my family today and talking, and the sun's shining, like none of that matters.
Right.
Yeah.
Live in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
tomorrow's not promised.
So you sent me that video about that guy about taking the money out of the bank.
Yeah.
And the way I saw that video was like it's creating. I feel like people on the right will say people on the left are always looking at something to be outraged about.
Right.
But then I see a video like that, and I'm like, how is that any different than what people complain about the other side doing?
Well, I see your point. I think if you ask them, they would say, well, we're speaking factually about events that's happening, and we're trying to educate, the public or other conservatives to the things that's going on, to be careful and mindful of these things, prepare for them.
Okay, keep going. Because
so
what I...
And I'm not saying I feel that way exactly. I kind of float back and forth, to be honest with you. Like I told you, I'm really conflicted about it because there's a strong conservative in me that says, yeah, we conservatives typically take it on the cheek. You know what I mean? Like, what would Jesus do? Turn the other cheek. And I think sometimes they feel that you've given a lot of control of the narrative to the liberal side of media or society, and it's really hurt the conservative cause, right? Me personally, I guess when I seen his video, what I took away from it was over the last few weeks, some people had sent in emails to him that had happened, and he had kind of warned people. I think what I really zeroed in on it was just he was genuinely shocked that it happened to him, because he was staying under that $10,000 limit. He regularly draws money out that way, and it wasn't even the fact that they kind of stopped to question it a little bit. It was how harshly they questioned him and tried to talk him out of it, and it just kind of made you wonder, like, why? What is the purpose of the bank? I wasn't saying like the sky's falling, this is the
I,
end of the world as we know it, you know.
I know, but in my eyes, like, it's almost like you're looking for something not to be outraged about. Like,
Yeah,
and the way, like, I told you, 10 years ago,
right.
I've taken, I've taken large amounts out probably 3 times in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
And never to buy a vehicle each time.
right.
And the first time happened just over 10 years ago. And I needed $12,000.
Yeah,
And I went in there and they're like, well, you can only take $6,000 here, and I'll call the other branch. You can go over there and get $6,000 from
sure.
them. And they asked me the same thing, like, do you want a cashier's check? It's not safe to carry that much cash around.
Right.
And I didn't see it as they were limiting my ability to have access to my cash when they
Sure.
offered me a cashier's check. They were right. It wasn't safe.
But
If I would have
think,
walked out of that bank and someone would have taken that money, or it would have blown out the car window, burned up, there's no covering that money.
right.
It's gone.
No, there's
And
personal responsibility in this, though, right? It's your money. It's up to you to take care of it.
right. They
Once
didn't.
you
They
leave
didn't
the
deny.
bank,
They didn't tell me I
but
couldn't.
I think
They
what
just
happened to him was a little more severe than, you know, do you
Okay.
want a cashier's check? I
There's-
mean, I don't think
there's
they-
3 sides to every story, right?
Sure.
And it's how you perceive the
right.
situation.
And neither of us were there.
Right.
I don't know.
There's his side,
You
the
know,
bank side, and the
I
truth
know he
is probably
seems to
somewhere
be
in the
kind
middle.
of an honorable guy.
You watch him on
um,
YouTube, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, people are watching us, and I want them to believe that we're sincere, and you know.
Right. How many honorable people have you seen caught in some kind of weird scandal?
Oh,
you know.
well, none of us are perfect. We're all sinners.
So
you
my
know.
point is, like, the bank didn't limit my ability. And then my other question is, I asked them then, I'm like, so why can't I access $12,000? It's not all the money I had in the bank, but I'm
Right.
like, why can't I have the whole
Well, they only
12,000?
have so much funds available too.
Exactly.
Right. And
Right.
if 8 people came in and took 12 grand, there might not be any money left in the bank, right?
Well, it's not that there'd be
So
any,
I
but they
get
said
that.
if for some reason everybody wanted access to their money at once, they want enough so everybody can have some of their money
Right.
until they can get more. The way that gentleman was perceiving it was like they should have whatever he's got in savings, whether it's $100,000 or whatever, any branch he goes to, he ought to be able to pull his whole $100,000 out and walk home with
I think
it.
he was angry, you know.
But
Because
that's
like
not.
I said, he's been doing the renovation, way I understand it. He's been doing the renovation on his home, and this is kind of normal for him to go and take that $9,000 out, and he's never been hassled, and he took it. They just were very unpleasant to him about it. Like I can understand them saying, for one, it's none of the bank's business what the hell you're doing with the money. I'll disagree with you till hell freezes over. Like, you know what? It's your money. If you want to go and buy a kilo of cocaine, so what? You know, you get caught by the police, then you're going to go to jail. But as far as the bank trying to mediate this shit, it's none of their business. It's yours. When you put $10,000 in there, they don't ask, well, why are you putting it in the bank? You know what I mean? Like, it's not their business. But to say, you know, there may be a better way, you know, if you want a cashier's check, I could almost understand it a little bit, like if you're buying an automobile, because then they may want to put you into a loan, right? Versus giving you the cash to go and buy it, because you're buying it, you know, a private deal. You found a car on the side of the road you want to go buy, and the bank talks you into taking a loan so that they can make their 3-4% interest over 5 years. I could see why they'd want to do that, but to actually like hassle anyone for trying to take out, except for the fact of you can only take this much out. This is the line, right? And then we got to get more money from a different branch, or you got to wait 24 hours for the rest. I understand that. But I think what happened to him was a little bit different, and it did seem, and again, we weren't there. I don't know. Was the lady cheerful and, you know, blowing rainbows out her ass? Maybe. And maybe he just took it that way. It's possible. But out of a lot of YouTube personalities we watch, you know what, he seems to be kind of a straight shooting person, so I tended to kind of believe it, his version of it.
I seen it as, if he's been doing this consistent, if this happened to me 10 years ago and it's happened 3 times, it's happened 3 times to me, all 3 times I've taken out starting 10 years ago. And you're telling me it's the first time it's happened to him?
I think at that amount, yeah,
I don't think so. I think
and
he
maybe
saw this.
it's maybe
I think we're hearing about bank runs around the world and
hmm
people not being able to get their money out, and he saw this as an opportunity
could be
to throw a video up
clickbait.
there, get some people outraged. They knew
Yeah,
they'd click on. Oh shit! What? Oh, I can't get my money out. What's going on?
right.
That's how I
Could
see it.
be.
The simplest solution
Yeah,
is he saw it as an easy opportunity.
yeah, it could be. Like I said, I don't know him personally.
They never told
I've been
me.
watching
Like I
him for a
said, they
while,
never
but
told. So he dealt with the shitty bank teller.
yeah,
We never have.
right. But I think that's what he was complaining about. I think if I dealt with
No,
one next
but if
week,
you
I would
listen to
probably
the
bring it
emphasis,
out.
it was like his ability to get his money is being restricted, and this is something you need to watch out. You need to be outraged about
Yeah,
this.
maybe. Yeah,
And I don't. I
I
don't
guess
like it.
he ran a
I don't like the agitation.
the
I
fear
don't. I don't.
mongering.
Yeah, I don't like. Like I said, the other side's good at finding things. They have to find things to be outraged about, and I just
Right.
don't like putting that shit out there. I don't think it does society any good to put
No.
shit out there like that. Now,
Well,
if he,
it depends.
now if he went out,
Facts, I think you should put facts out there because I think we have the right to know what's going on, and
okay. So this is where I'm going to lead into this. Okay, what percentage of Americans could this possibly affect? How many Americans even have $9,000 in savings at this?
right
is
now,
even
not a lot
okay?
of them.
And how many of those people are out of the people that do? How many of them are watching his channel?
Right.
So who is he agitating?
Yeah. I mean,
So he's
certainly
pissing.
has his
He's pissing.
demographics.
Okay,
that
so he's
dealing
pissing
with.
off people that have $500 in the bank, that it's not even going to affect them
Right.
regardless. You see where I'm going with that?
Right.
The people that he's even talking to don't even have $9,000 in the
Right.
bank.
Oh, I'm sure he's set up far better than most of
Okay,
his
so
subscribers.
you see, I
I
got
guess
got
I
it pulled.
see
I got
that.
it pulled
What-
up right here.
what-
The percentage of Americans in their savings.
Yeah. It's about that echoes about what I've heard, what I've seen.
Okay, what percentage of that demographic's watching his channel?
Right.
And I'm not belittling anybody that's watching his channel that doesn't have money. That's not what I'm saying here.
Right. But
My
if
point
he's
is, he's bringing up a
fanning
point.
the
Right.
flames of
He's creating outrage to people that it has zero effect on,
Right.
and then it's getting them
Because technically,
outraged.
right now, you could take your $500 out of the bank,
Right.
right, without
Right.
being questioned.
Right.
Yeah, I see your point there.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I guess I hadn't really considered his demographics. Me, I just like to know it because I like information. I try to pound as much information in my head as I can.
Okay.
So,
If he came out with the video and said, "Look, guys, I had this building project. I know this isn't going to affect most of you. I needed $9,000 for this building project. I go in there, and the bank told me it's going to be a 3-4 day wait because they don't have any cash, and their immediate branches don't have any cash.
Right.
So this is something to be aware of. If you think you're going to need some extra cash for something, you might want to check with your bank and make sure you
Ahead
can
of
pull some
time.
money out."
Right.
But that's not even what it was.
Right.
It wasn't that the bank didn't have the money. Again, I think a lot of
me,
people.
I took it. It was just more the way the bank treated him, not that
I don't think that was the
the
point to that video.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch it now. That
The point of the
say
video that I took from it was
Right.
like he was trying to create outrage, like, oh, the bank's not letting you access your cash.
Right.
They're blocking people's ability to get their
And we know
like
it's
like
a
we're
point
seeing,
to
like
point
you've
to,
heard about in
right,
China, right?
right,
With tanks
yeah.
out in front, people can't get their money out. That's how I
Yeah,
perceived that video.
yeah, maybe. I'd have to go back and watch
Yeah.
it now.
Again,
I was just for me, I was just taking in data. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't upset about it. It didn't personally affect me. I wasn't taking $9,000 out of the bank in the next couple of days. So,
I'm not saying it directly affected you. I'm
right,
saying I
but-
think it puts a ripple
Sure.
out there, right?
yeah. I mean that don't help peace, right?
Right. That's my point. I want,
Yeah.
and that's why I sat back and after you sent it to me, the first thing was,
Right.
wait a minute, I've been in that exact situation. It
Sure.
wasn't a big deal. Then I thought, then the next
And
day,
me personally, I never have.
I was driving home and I thought, wait a minute, what fucking percentage of people even have $9,000 in the
Right.
bank okay, what percentage of these people are even watching this video that even have a
Right.
grand in the bank to worry
Yeah.
about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't
It just
considered
seems
his
like it creates. It
demographics.
just
You
seems like
know,
it creates a lot of outrage. It
right,
just agitates shit. Just stirs the pot that much more, and we don't need it.
right.
We got enough shit to
Oh
worry
yeah,
about and focus on.
there's a lot of
You
bad shit
know,
going on right now.
and it wasn't even toward you.
Right.
It wasn't. I just want people to be
No,
able to
we
think for
debated it
themselves.
back and forth a little bit. You
Right, and
know,
I know I
just
kept saying we got to stop. We got to
right.
stop. We got to save this.
Save it.
Yeah.
Save it for the video. Uh,
But
yeah, I just took it differently than you did.
yeah.
To me, I don't know. I like
And
data. I like data, right? I just like to know and hear what's going on. And personally, I don't get real fired up. There's only a couple of things that kind of trigger me. That's
But there are
they
people
start
out there that need to stay constantly agitated
right.
so they believe that what they're doing is the right thing
Sure.
to do, right?
Oh yeah,
And a lot of people that follow that channel need constant affirmation
that they're doing
that
the
they're
right
doing
thing, and, yeah,
right.
sure.
That they can justify, you know, the
But
sacrifices they've
I
made
do kind of
for the
like
lifestyle
how,
they live. And it's like, if that's, you shouldn't constantly be looking for affirmation. You should just be able to go, these are the choices I made for this life I live, and I'm just going to do it.
right,
I see it like an insurance policy. I used to see it differently.
right.
Okay, and that's why.
Well, you've evolved over the years.
That's
right?
why I'm
And a lot
so
of these
vocal
people
about
will
this.
too.
That's why I'm so vocal about this. Okay, and I was roped into. I'd see videos like that. Oh shit, better go get some money out of the bank.
Take it all out and stick it in my mattress.
Right.
And hope my house don't burn down.
Right.
Right.
And you watch enough of these, and I still call them agitator videos, these doomsday videos where,
Right.
there's always new information coming out. It's like fucking 4chan on some of these prepper
Yeah.
channels. I got new information. I got a phone call. This
Right.
person got a hold of me. And it's never anything.
Right.
It's never anything we didn't, if I could stress anything to anybody, it'd be treat it as an insurance policy. You buy it once a month, you put it away and hope you never have to use it.
Right.
But don't make it your whole life.
No, there's got to be some balance, right? I mean, I went down the rabbit hole with that shit too, just like you did, and then I watched everyone else was just kind of living and doing things, and I wasn't. Like
Yeah.
everything I did revolved around a certain strategy, and and the wear and tear it takes on you emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Just the constant bombardment of worry and stress, and you're not balancing it with some fun and enjoyment in your life, and all of a sudden you look back and it's like a year just went by, and what fun did you have?
Right.
You didn't take the vacation, you didn't, okay, here's one thing I learned. If you really truly believe that the world is ending in the next 6 months, take a vacation, guys, while you can. Go get that cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Take a cruise while you can do it. Well, at least you got a cruise in before we all died in a nuclear holocaust
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So, those were lessons I had to learn the hard way too. Like, just overwhelmed a lot, trouble sleeping, anxiety and stress. My God, there's no shortage of bad news in the world,
Right.
and we talk about it here too.
Right.
Just like any other place does. It's kind of hard not to talk about it, but
And
you definitely need some balance for sure.
And I was,
and
I
that's
want,
why I brought my bow today.
and I,
So that we could shoot a little and have our decompression time too. So
by no means am I a hardcore prepper ready for it.
Right.
I don't have a semi-trailer
No.
full of food. It's not
No.
what I'm saying. But I let people agitate me mentally into believing, like, this thing's coming 2 weeks from now, a
Right.
month from now. You got to go out and fill your gas cans, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah, I did that month-to-month shit too. Oh man, we probably got a month left, and
Yeah.
do I think some
People-
hard times are coming now? Absolutely. I don't see any way of avoiding it now. Like there's just too much. It's you don't even have to watch prepper channels to you can watch CNN and they're giving you the best possible spin.
I know you're
that
talking,
there is,
and not even prepper
you know.
channels. There's some prominent media personalities out
Yeah.
there on the right that do a
Sure.
good job, right,
Mhm.
of agitating
Oh yeah.
and making people believe.
Right.
Is there some truth to what they're saying? Absolutely.
Don't
I'm
you
not.
believe that some of these guys actually believe that though?
Mm,
Because like I'm pretty sure when we went back and forth, like I've probably agitated people, but I believe what I say. You know, this isn't something I'm pandering to the camera for clickbait. Hell, we barely got any subs anyways. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's like I say what I think. Now, it doesn't mean I'm always right. Sometimes I'm wrong, you know?
I think
Um,
some of them believe, but they try to keep. So I believe their motivation is by the reactions they get from the people
hmm,
that they speak to,
right.
that they're doing the right thing.
Hmm,
They find affirmation and
yeah,
the feedback they get from this, they got 10,000 subscribers, they got
right.
this many followers, and they're constantly getting feedback. And then
Okay.
the people that are giving the feedback feel like they're doing the right thing because this guy keeps making videos and, you know, feels like they're talking to them and they're going out and doing the same things he's doing. And I'm not. If you are of the preparedness mindset, great.
Yeah.
But don't be out there harping on people that live their normal life and take vacations and buy a travel trailer or a motorcycle, saying, "I hope that motorcycle tastes good in 6 months
Oh, yeah.
because,
Well,
you
you
didn't go
know,
out
see,
you didn't go out and buy food buckets
that's
and
different though, man.
and
You
that."
know, you're talking about that is the bully mentality that happens
But that's the
in that
affirmation. I
culture,
think that's
right?
I. I,
Because there
I
are
think that's
guys
the
out there that
affirmation
have
they're looking for
channels
in their mind,
and they
right?
do say that kind of shit, right? Like, oh, yeah, you went and bought something nice. Yeah, I hope it tastes good when the
Right,
end happens.
right,
That there's
right,
absolutely a lot of
right.
that out there.
Right,
Sure.
I've heard them ridicule people
Yep.
for buying a new fishing boat,
Right.
like, and it's like, just do your thing.
Yeah.
And if you want to go out there and make a video about things you're doing, cool.
Sure.
I, I just don't think the agitation and
Yeah, I
the
would agree with
mind
that.
fuck it is to people that, oh, because you went and did something and you have the resources, and because I took the same amount of resources and did my thing, like,
Right.
I think it's almost like a guilt thing. Like they wish they weren't in that mindset. They could go
Right.
buy a fishing boat and take their kids out
I don't
fishing,
even know
but
it's guilt. I think it's
they're
jealousy. You know, because
like, I,
you know, they're
I
in the
think they
trenches doing what they're doing, and everyone else is having a good
right.
time, and they're not, and you start to get a little just stressed about it and jealous and envious about it.
Right.
Maybe you
Because I
know,
think they've invested so far. Like they're
ignorance
like,
is
can
bliss.
I? They can't make
I
that.
mean, our advice. Well, I'm not gonna say our advice. I'm gonna say my advice. I won't speak for you, but my advice is right now, people should be getting some extra and putting it away. Right.
Again,
Um.
treat it like an
Right.
insurance policy.
Sure. Um. You
If you
know,
like spaghetti,
but if you want to buy a motorcycle or a boat, like I said, take the cruise now while you can, because 6 months from now, who knows? I think I do believe that we are headed for some rough times. Probably nastier than anything we've ever seen in our lifetime. I believe that. I don't.
and again, I'm not saying not to have an
Right.
emergency preparedness plan in
Sure.
place. I think everybody should have at least a couple months
You know,
worth of their normal
yeah,
food that they
just
eat day to day.
so that you're just a little bit
Because
responsible for
even now,
yourself.
like we like,
Look
because
at the hurricane that hit Florida.
we eat healthy, right?
Yeah.
And we like those. I don't want to call them keto pizza doughs, but they're very thin.
Yeah.
We hand make pizza.
Right.
I haven't been able to find them for 3 weeks. I finally found them
Yeah.
yesterday. The stores I go to, the area that are in the bunkers,
Yeah.
have been empty for over 2 weeks.
Sure.
They just have not had these. I went yesterday and they have them, so I bought extra
Right.
because I don't know. I never know when they're going to be there and when they're not.
Right.
So I don't just buy one for pizza this week like we could 3 or 4 or 5 years ago,
Right.
right? Knowing that if we want pizza next
You
week,
just
they'll
run
have
and
it.
grab it.
It's not.
Sure.
I understand that. So I make sure that I buy extras this
Right.
time because they had them, and they had a lot. Okay, I'm not an
Mhm.
asshole. And there were only 8 there, and I bought all 8 so no one
Right.
else could have them. I'm not an
Poured 'em
asshole
up.
like that.
Yeah.
No, they had a lot of them,
Yeah.
but I bought some extra, knowing that the availability isn't what it used to be.
Right.
Right? And that's what I would stress to people.
Yeah.
Make sure
it's,
whatever you normally eat,
I
if you
get a
can,
little extra coffee, and
right,
it's something that if it gets harder to find, and I've already seen a difference in it. Finding it. I want a little extra. Just what if there's a week I can't find it?
right. And that's
Well,
what
I got
and
some,
that
right? So I mean, you keep a fire extinguisher in the house.
right.
hoping that you never use it and that your house never catches
Right.
fire. But if it does, I mean, you're pretty grateful that you had it. If you could put the fire out, you know.
And you buy car
So,
insurance hoping you
hmm
never have to use it,
exactly.
but if you need it, you're covered.
It's there.
And I think this is the mindset people should have
Life
to be with that.
assurance.
Yeah,
You know, not insurance
there you
assurance.
go.
Life assurance.
Right.
I like that.
Just
So, you know, am I gonna and I think between me and you, I'm probably the more doom and gloom sometimes. I think that's why we balance each other out.
hmm
You get kind of happy. I get a little sad about it. We usually meet somewhere in the middle, which is a good
hmm
place to be. I think, you know, don't be naive to the things that's going on in the
Right.
world. You
I
know,
think the
watch,
worst
pay
thing you could
attention,
do
but
is have,
blinders on.
you know,
Be in the matrix.
be a
right?
dated
That's,
be a day-to-day shopper. You know, every 3 days you kind of go out and get a couple dinners, get
yeah,
the kids a couple lunch meals, and then, you know, if you were like a
yeah,
flood, a hurricane, a
yeah.
tornado,
Like I
whatever,
said, look what just happened in
snowstorm,
Florida. You know.
and we see it here, right?
Yeah.
What happens when there's going to be a foot of snow?
Exactly.
You can't find bananas in the store.
No.
Can't find
Nope.
bananas and bread.
Gone.
And
Yeah.
that doesn't help anything either, because now
Right.
all these people run out to the store and gobble all this shit up because they didn't have an extra loaf of bread in their freezer.
Exactly.
When we're gonna have a foot of snow that's gonna last what, a day or two, you're gonna be
Yeah.
inconvenienced. The kids are gonna be home from school,
Right.
maybe. That doesn't help anything either. It doesn't make us any
No.
stronger or more secure.
No. It definitely adds to the problem.
Right. Because it puts a bigger strain on the
I mean,
resources when
to-
there is a disaster.
I want to avoid all of this desperately. You know, we talked before about children and childhoods, and this is something I wanted to get into because it was a really interesting take that you had on it, and you know, I kind of I dig it, because I said, you know, I want my child to have a childhood like I had, and I feel stress about what his future looks like right now, you know, although the future's never promised, and you know, the kind of future you have is never promised, who knows, but there were things that we can enjoy in our childhood that I just don't believe he will be able to, and it's sad. And you brought up that, you know, kids nowadays, if they had our childhood, they'd have been miserable, right?
Yeah, if you take a kid in
Yeah.
2022 and drop him off in 1984,
Right. He'd have hated his life, you know?
they would. If you could
Yeah.
take,
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, pre-internet, pre-cell phones, like, you know.
Streaming?
Yeah,
like,
streaming.
uh,
We had to watch
try to put a
3 channels
VHS cassette in
Yeah.
a what? Like,
Yeah.
we got to go to a store.
What do you
and
mean
you
we
got to
gotta
go in and you
rewind
got to
it?
walk down the aisles and
we got to rewind it when
read the
it's
back
done.
of them and decide if you want. Because unless it was a blockbuster, right? You
Right.
didn't even see a commercial for it on
Right.
TV. So you had to read the
Exactly.
back of the case
Oh,
to find
yeah.
out what the movie is even about.
Right.
You couldn't preview
I used
it.
to love walking through there and looking at all the covers, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the poster boards
Yeah.
that they had on the wall for the movies, and just the boxes, and you know, you'd see one of the actors you like or some certain costume that would catch your eye and be like, ooh, this looks kind of good. Half the time they were probably stupid anyways.
But it doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't land. It doesn't hit with
right.
kids today because they can go on and watch a preview
And had we
instantly.
had we had their childhood now, we'd have been miserable. Knowing, you know, where we were, what we did.
I don't know, man.
We got to, man,
Think
I
about
don't,
that. If you were a kid in 1984 and you had a chance to go to 2022 and see the world,
I'd rather be a kid then.
I don't know.
Man, I could get on my
You
bike
brought up-
and ride around with the kids, you know, like
And you still can. We saw some kids riding bikes.
some, not as many though.
No.
Man. You know, most kids talk through social media and shit. They don't. You
Okay,
didn't
but-
go over
but-
to the neighbor's
but
house and
you-
knock on the door to see if he was
but
home.
you-
know?
You romanticize it. But I remember being bored out of my flipping mind, and your
Yeah.
parents are like, get the hell out of the house.
Sure.
And you're like, there's nothing to do, you know? Like,
Yeah, but you know what I did? I went out and I caught the woods on fire. Sorry, I did.
Jesus.
But you know, I learned how to start a fire, right? And I learned like, ooh, pine, dead pine is really, really super flammable. You know, I think we learned life skills. I went frog gigging. You know what I mean? We would play football. All of us in the neighborhood would get together. There'd be 12 or 14 of us. We'd all go play basketball or hacky sack or something. You know what I mean? We weren't just like gaming. Like you
But
think like what these kids do now is better?
I think for them it's better.
Sure.
I think they enjoy the life they have just
Yeah.
like we enjoyed the
And
life
and
we
I'm
have.
sure my son growing up,
I
he's
wouldn't
gonna
want to grow up in my dad's. I don't want to be a kid in 1952.
nah, that right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No more than
Life was
our
hard
kids want to
then,
be a kid in 1984. It's
Right.
just.
Yeah.
I heard a podcaster talking about classic cars, and he's like, and they were talking about like Hemi Cuda and all this
Yeah.
shit, and man, like
Muscle cars.
right. I That's cool, okay. But to say those are the only nice cars, it just again it doesn't
Right.
hit with me. It doesn't land with me. A cool car to me is a Monte Carlo SS
I
from
like
the mid
Monte Carlo.
'80s.
Yep.
An
Had
88,
one.
an
My
80,
dad did.
an 88 IROC Z
Yep.
28, right?
Yeah.
Those are the cars
Sure.
I want in my collection.
Oh yeah.
And then you
Those
look
are
at
good ones.
cars today. You take pick one.
Yeah.
Pick a Mustang, Corvette,
Yeah.
Camaro, Hellcat Charger,
Right.
700 horsepower out of the factory with a touchscreen display and heated leather seats,
Yeah. It's a lot to be said
adjustable
for
ride
that.
suspension,
Yeah.
and you're gonna tell me the greatest era of muscle cars was 1970?
Right. I think
I
it's,
can
like
appreciate
you
it
said,
for the era.
romanticizing.
I can appreciate it for the era, for what they had at the
Yeah.
time. They're still amazing, beautiful cars. I don't mind walking by one and going, "Oh, that's cool."
Sure.
Nothing I care to have in my
I don't
collection.
know. I think '69 Camaro I'd probably still have, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
No
newer
desire.
cars that
I'll
are-
take an '88 IROC C28
Yeah.
in that burgundy with the gold letters along the bottom of
Right.
the doors. Fucking T-tops.
Yeah.
Sign me up, son. Sign me up. Be blasting
Yeah.
a little Toto on the radio on my
Right.
6x9s in there.
I was always a truck kid, you know. Cars never really were my thing. I was always a pickup boy.
Same thing, right? Like
Yeah.
like
But I used to drive a '72 Chevy Cheyenne. It was a nice truck, you know.
give me a square body.
It was beautiful, but would I take it over, the truck I have right now? I love,
Yeah.
heated steering wheel. Oh God, I don't ever want to live without a heated steering wheel again.
And
Cold climate,
even- even more to my point, right?
right.
Even more to my point. They're cool to look at. You wouldn't mind to drive it on a Sunday.
Sure.
You don't want to fucking drive that
Not
thing
every day, man. It was,
You appreciate
and
the
I like
technology
sure.
and the
like
creature
my
comforts of
on-screen
what you
display.
have now.
I got like a 9-inch screen TV
Right.
in my dash,
Right.
right? The
Right.
GPS, you can actually read it. The
Right.
street names as you're approaching them, you can read them. There's a lot of technology in that I would not want
And
to
this
get rid of.
Makes another point where we talk. I don't remember what podcast it was, and you were talking about like, what it must have been like in 1700, 1800.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you like to be back there? Those people didn't want to be there.
No.
You look at a picture of that era, there ain't nobody smiling in those pictures.
You're probably right about that. When you think about some of them old, classic photos of the fur trade and
Hard life.
Yeah, they all
Hard
look a little,
ass life.
They look tired.
Charles Ingle on the Kansas plains in the winter riding on that wagon
Yeah.
on that hard ass cold seat.
Right.
He didn't want to be there.
Hmm.
They make it look nice. He don't want to be there. He'd rather be in 2022 riding in a car with heated leather seats.
So the easier it gets, the better off we. So you want to be in the pod drinking the Beetlejuice, plugged into the Matrix?
You're conflating two things.
No,
here.
I'm just asking. So I see.
No.
All right.
No, I'm just saying that as technology evolves, life gets easier, and we
Sure.
smile a lot more in photos.
Yeah.
If you look through history,
Right.
we smile a lot more in photos.
Yeah, but I think now because it's social media, a lot of those
That's
smiles
not
are
what I'm
fake.
talking about. It's not that's.
I
That's
think
a
you
whole
can
nother
thing.
thing.
bring up a lot of photos of people
If
smiling.
you and I
but
are out
would
there,
say
if
10%
you
of them are only
if you and
legit.
I went fishing, hunting,
Right.
shooting bows, we're smiling
Sure.
because life is pretty easy and it's pretty damn good.
Right.
We're not being chased by bears and mountain lions.
Yeah.
We don't have to constantly go out and gather our food on a daily basis. We don't have to walk 100 yards to take a piss or shit at 2 a.m.
Right.
in a cold outhouse.
I did that.
I know you did, but you didn't
It was
enjoy
rough.
it. You didn't enjoy it as much
wasn't
as
my
you do
favorite
with regular
part.
indoor plumbing,
No,
right?
it wasn't my favorite part.
Right.
But I still think between the two lives, I'd take that one, though. I really do. The freedom for me was just, it was, what would you say? You couldn't even put a price on it, you know? It was, it was an amazing way of living for me. Now, I get it. I'm not most people, you know?
Right.
I'm probably a little bit unique. I like just being able to do whatever I want, and I liked being responsible for myself. You know, if I didn't get my ass out there and cut wood, I was gonna freeze to death. Right? There was no help. I couldn't call consumers. I wasn't gonna get on the shut off plan, right? So that I wouldn't get my gas shut off. Like, I had to legitimately do these things every day to live. But there was a lot of reward in it too, and I think that's we can look back and say life was really hard for them, and they were all a bunch of miserable fucks.
I'm not saying they're miserable,
No, but
but
I'm saying there's
they're.
people, they don't smile. Life's hard.
No, I'm not saying they never
but-
smile, but if you look at those photos,
But
there's not many of them smiling.
yeah, which I'd agree with. I'll agree with that. And I'd agree
I
with
think-
a lot
I
of people
think-
smiling photos now. They do. I think a portion of that though is just because they want to post it on Facebook and prove how great their life is. And this was the point I was trying to make, and I think you misunderstood me a little bit. Was that if people are so happy today versus what they were 80 years ago or 100 years ago, why is there then this movement of people on social media inflating their life and inflating how great their marriage is? You see it all the time, people on there hugging and kissing. Oh, thank you, the love, my moon and stars, and a week later there was some in a relationship with so and so. You know what I mean? Like, why is there so much of that shit out there that's fake? And and I do it, right? I take a selfie. I'm taking 6. There's probably only 1 out of the 6 that I like that I'm gonna post on there. I'm gonna post the picture that makes my jawline look the best. Like I said in the other podcast, I'm trying to get a girlfriend, right? I want to show off that strong jaw. Why would people do that if they truly are happier? I don't know. It's hard to measure that.
I think that's
Good question.
I think that's just a product of
Yeah.
that ability to have a lot of people
Right.
see you, right?
Yeah.
It's almost
Could
like
be,
being
because-
famous, right?
yeah, because
being
a lot of people's gonna see it, right?
right.
I do. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated, because I do believe a lot of it's fake. That's why I've always called it the Matrix. I've always called it that because to me it was social media always was fake. Like how many guys that catches the fish and they do this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or you hold the rack a certain way so that your horns look bigger than someone else that shot their bucket. Just to me, there was so much on there that's just disingenuous. And I
don't
proved it
know-
the one day when I would put these smart, witty little statuses on Facebook, and I would really think about something, and it would be really funny and really smart, and you'd get 4 likes. And then one day I type in there, like, I'm sitting on the couch on my ass watching my neighbor's dog take a shit in my yard, and I got like 45 likes out of it, and I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know. To me, just the web, and like, I love it because I love data. I love information. I love, like, you just pulled up statistics. I love that we can do that. Do I think that we have a more rewarding, happier life than people 150 years ago? I don't think I would say that, but maybe. I know that poor people, at least the quality of life, I don't know about the happiness level. The quality of life, I think, is better, obviously, because even poor people have air conditioning typically, or clean drinking water, right?
Cell phones.
Cell phones, yeah. I mean, even people in shelters get phones at least they can call 911 with, right? So,
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
I-
It's a good question.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not
That's why I
saying
got
I'm
the
not
tinfoil
saying
hat on today,
I'm not
guys.
saying everybody in 1800 was miserable.
Right.
People still had good times.
Sure. They have big
You know,
families.
they still celebrated birthdays and weddings and childbirths, and there were still good
Taking
times.
care of all those farm animals.
It's a hard life too, though.
Hard. Oh yeah.
Imagine a life without modern farming equipment.
Right.
You know, like
Oh yeah. Guy out there with an ox trying to till a field would not be easy. You know.
now you forward him a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, what? You can just hop in this tractor and it's got GPS navigation. You're pretty much just riding
Right.
along and it,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Hydraulic
Sure.
implement, you just push a button and like,
Well, there's
what?
a reason those tractors cost $200,000.
He'd be like,
You know, for a combine.
he'd be
Hmm.
like, sign me up,
Air
son.
conditioning in there. You know.
Sign
You
me
still
up.
see some of those farmers over there once in a while, the old tractor, and they got an umbrella opened up
Mm.
above them to just keep the sun
Yeah,
off
typically
of
like
them.
the ones when they're doing hay or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, yeah.
trying to keep that sunlight off of them.
Right, right.
Yeah. Hmm. And that's a good one.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's you could ponder that one around for
Oh,
a
no
long
doubt.
time.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
people will. I was listening to a podcast the other day and they're talking about technology or I don't remember exactly, but what I remember is the guy talking about cell phone.
Right.
He said something to the effect of like it's a pretty good value what you pay for that thing for what you get out of it.
Right.
And for about the next hour I thought about that like
Yeah.
think about 1986 what you had to do to access like you know if you wanted to know something about something.
Yeah.
What
I
fill in
told
the
you if you
blank.
wanted to know the neighbor kid was home, you had to walk your ass over there and knock on the door. Is Jimmy home? You know.
Right. Imagine going I don't know, fill in said
Yeah.
question about the world, about biology, science, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd go to your bookshelf at home if your family had one,
Yeah,
encyclopedia,
encyclopedia.
dictionaries,
Yeah.
whatever, how-to manuals. Try to look it up. Try to,
Oh,
go
and
to go to
the user manuals.
library.
God.
Ask the librarian, where's the
Yeah.
section? Where would I find this information? You gotta go down and
Right.
look through books and try to, you know,
Yeah.
days maybe
Right.
for one question.
Now it's at your fingertips.
Today you ask it, or you ask the device, the speaker,
Yeah.
hey, so
You
and
don't even
so.
have to scroll on it. You just
No, sit
yell
right
at
in the
your
living
phone
room.
and-
I can tell our smart speaker, turn on the living room light,
Mm-hmm.
what's the temperature going to be tonight? How old is Mick Jagger?
Right.
I didn't even have to lift a finger. I didn't even have to move.
Right. It's scary though, because some people when they're like, Siri, have bread delivered tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't happen because Siri ain't working. I can make a loaf of bread. You know? I can make a loaf of bread out of acorns. A lot of people can. It might taste like shit. You know, you might not love it, but I can make it. But there's a lot of people that if Siri ain't around, like, so I think there's got to be some balance there, right? You
I
got to
still
be
think
careful with that. So, like, even working on cars now, I can't do half the mechanical stuff to the truck I have now that I could to that 1972 Cheyenne. You know what I mean? Like
so that just exposed a weakness of yours
Sure.
as you exposed a weakness of theirs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're
There's
both
a difference though
you know,
between like being so reliant on Siri to have your bread delivered by a drone and someone that, you know, because these vehicles are technically made now to where there are no backyard mechanics. It's a dying breed because
So what percentage of the
you need a lot of that.
population is that even affecting?
You know, and then I'm not saying people like you're wrong if you don't know how to make bread from scratch. That's not what I mean by that. I'm like, go to the store and buy it. You know, I'm talking about people that are so plugged into technology that what the hell are they gonna do when it's gone? You know, I might not like necessarily the lifestyle afterwards, but I'll survive it. Like, I don't,
So
you
will
know,
they.
some,
You know.
some will, some won't. You know, it's like,
Right, but there's no guarantee you will.
Well, there's no guarantees to nothing, but I got a better chance.
They could end up
You
on
know,
some nice commune where
Could.
they learn how to garden and
Yeah,
plant, and
I'm sure some of them will.
someone
There's
could,
going to be communities,
yeah,
and there's going to be communities that's going to help people. But
they'll learn.
yeah, I
Humans
think
are very adaptable. They're we've survived a lot
I just
as a
think this is the
species.
weakest our race has ever been.
Possibly, we have a lot of information. We have a lot of knowledge.
We do, but a lot of it we rely on being able to look that up. We have
Yeah.
the statistics to that
So
now,
we
but
we would go back to accessing that information from people
right,
that have retained it.
sure.
You know, we'd still get it out of book form. Books are still printed. People still buy them. I don't. That's a big what if that all the technology would be gone, the internet be gone, the power would be gone. It would take. If it comes to that point, okay, so you can make bread. How long are you gonna be able to make bread for? So you survived 2 more months than they did.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
It's
now
long enough
what?
to find another group of people and
Maybe,
work together. I
maybe.
mean, it gives me
Or
a better
you're a
chance.
drain on their resources. So
Possibly.
you know.
Depends on the knowledge you have. I have a
Remember, the
pretty good.
longer that event goes on, the competition gets stiffer.
Sure. I've worked really hard to retain some pretty useful knowledge, though.
But is it any more useful than those people that
Some of
already
them.
survived that
You
long?
know.
Is there
Hopefully
any?
by then you would find somebody to.
I
It's
know.
still better to have the 2 or 3 months than not. You know what I mean? Like if I can buy myself and my family and loved ones 2 more months, good. It was worth the hard work then. It gives us a better chance. Does it guarantee you a chance? No. There's no guarantee, It's, you could have the power go out and then, something my house burns down because of it,
Yeah.
and I die in my sleep of smoke inhalation.
Or
Never
even
even
if
had
you
a
don't,
chance to show off my great skills,
or
right?
even if you
So,
don't, you're standing out in your front yard with a robe on,
yeah.
and your
Take
bullets and
yeah,
your
take
beans
two
and
to
your
the chest,
band-aids are all gone now.
Yeah, because you donated them to someone else.
No, I'm saying because your house burned
Oh,
down.
or because the house burned
Yeah.
down, right?
You know,
Or the neighbors took them.
I just try to be. I'm more humble when it comes to that. I just believe that if it ever got that bad,
I think I'm humble.
the
I think I'm just confident.
that the strong would protect the weak,
I hope so.
and we would eliminate the evil
Right.
that tries to manipulate and destroy. You know,
Right.
I sure hope so.
I would hope so. I I think there's always going to be evil. I think, I don't know. People, you look at people now. My son and I was having this, my middle son and I was having this conversation yesterday about hunting season. We drove by, there was a big hunting camp on the road. There must have been 25 guys there. It was neat. It looked like they were just having a blast. And I told him, I said, when I was your age, I'd have whipped in there
Yeah.
and just walked up and talked to guys, see who's
Yeah.
seeing what, anyone shoot anything nice. And almost 99% of the time, those guys would have welcomed you in, handed you a beer. Hey, you want, we made stew. You want a
Mm-hmm.
bowl? Like the camaraderie of the outdoorsman was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And fishing, like you could go down to the bank and there'd be a couple people down there in buckets fishing. You walk up to them, hey, are the fish biting today?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, check out this bucket of crappie I got. And oh wow, congrats. You mind sharing the bank? We're gonna go down there. Yeah, go ahead. This is what I'm using to catch the fish. And it was, everybody was really friendly. And now, man, you walk up to people and they're like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Or what'd you shoot? And you see a lot more of that. And he asked me why is there a difference? And really what I thought, kind of what really made sense to me, was social media. That everybody's competitive now. Everyone wants the bigger buck. That you can't let anyone know where you fish. You can't let anyone know where you hunt. They just caught that guy that won the tournament with a bunch of sinkers in his walleye. They cut him open. He didn't even cheat a little. He cheated so bad, like they cut that fish open.
It's not he, it's they.
Or they,
Yeah.
right? They. But I mean, he's the captain of the boat.
Well,
But yeah, him and
their
his first
fishing
mate,
partner.
right?
No, they're partner. What?
It was him and his first mate.
It's him
They're
and his partner.
partners.
Yeah, they're fishing
Yeah, but I mean,
tournament
there's only
partners.
one captain on
Well,
the boat, so
I
you,
don't
you get
know.
a captain and a first mate.
All
At
right.
least the tournaments I fished in, that's the
Oh,
way it
okay.
was. So, um,
I thought they were a
it's
team. I thought
yeah,
they.
they're a team, but like it's his boat, right?
Mm,
That's but him standing there with his head hung in shame was like great. Like he burned his reputation now. So,
yeah.
uh, but the competitiveness of it now, deer hunting isn't about feeding the family necessarily. Now it's who can get the bigger buck, and then they're teaching their kids that kind of that way of thinking too. Like you watch the buck pull online. I watch
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and man, I don't know. Sometimes I really hate kind of what, even though like our technology's so much better, the bows are a lot better, the rifles, the scopes that we use, the glass are incredible. Like I love that technology, but on the other flip side is like, man, we've lost a lot too along the way
Mm-hmm.
of that camaraderie with we used to call it the pumpkin patch, the orange army.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would go out and if someone else is wearing blaze orange, you walk up to them and hey, how you doing? And you see anything? I didn't see shit this morning. Like it was just fun. It was a
Mm-hmm.
real fun time to hunt and fish then, and I think we've lost some of that. So
Yeah, there is. Again, this is where I think corporations got their fingers into this,
mm-hmm.
and they figured out a way to convince people that you weren't successful unless.
Turn people into brand whores, right?
Yeah, and well,
Which I'm a brand whore a little bit,
your
I admit.
success was based on how many inches of horn you put on your wall,
Right.
right? My dad raised me. He was more impressed by if you could shut the lid on your freezer by the end of the season or not.
Right.
That's where he measured his success,
Sure.
right? So that's how I was raised.
Right.
The truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, I want to shoot a nice buck, right?
Because
I was telling you earlier before the
mhm.
show started, like, oh man, you see this buck I got a picture of. So, yeah.
Mine, again, where I say the truth lies somewhere in the middle is the one good thing that comes out of the way they are trying to think like basing the success of your harvest, right?
Yeah.
What it's doing is by convincing guys to shoot bigger bucks is it's creating a better age class.
Right.
Okay. So my processor charges the same fee whether that deer weighs 80 pounds or 200 pounds.
Right.
The processing fee is the same.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't shot a buck. If I don't shoot one this year, it'll be 6 years.
Yeah.
But I've shot 2.5 and 3.5-year-old does
Right.
those years. Because I get a lot more meat than shooting a 1.5-year-old buck.
Yeah.
And I think if people could understand that, like, what's the point in shooting a 1.5-year-old buck that weighs 130 pounds if you can shoot a 2.5, 3.5-year-old doe that's 150, 160, you get a little more meat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Let the age class mature a little more with these bucks. So that's why I'm saying the truth lies somewhere in the middle of both of those statements.
Yeah.
I don't like arrogance when it comes to hunting.
No.
Like, oh, that's all you shot. Like
And you hear a lot
belittle
of that.
and look down on someone for shooting.
Oh,
I
how
know,
many of
and
the pictures have you seen the guys online say, oh, that would have been a nice buck next year?
Yeah.
How do you know that wasn't like the guy's first buck?
Right.
And to him, that was a big one.
Right. And that's
Like
it.
he's never seen a bigger buck than that. So to him, that thing looked huge. Or you know what? To me, all deer are trophies.
Yes.
As far as
Yeah.
a trophy goes, all deer are trophies. I'm
Yeah.
thankful for every animal I've ever harvested. If I get to bring meat home for the family, like that's one of my greatest feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of being a man,
Yeah.
right? Bringing
Yeah.
food home to your family, feeding your tribe.
Well,
And I see those comments all the time, and it sickens me. Like, oh, that would have been a nice buck another year. Another year that buck would have been a shooter. Don't shit on someone else like that. Who cares?
Right.
If you want to walk the buck, walk the buck. I've walked way more bucks than I've ever shot, knowing that, someone 300 yards away might smoke it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just life. But I gave it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it. I don't see it as in, well, I might as well shoot it because everyone else is gonna anyways. No, I'll walk it.
Mm-hmm.
At least I had a shot, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And we'll see. Bucks, I guess I've noticed some difference in them over the last few years. I think I'm starting to see a little older class buck, more of them. You know, I mean, there's always been the ghost buck. Like we've been chasing that. It's half of the adrenaline of hunting is waiting for the big one to walk in, right?
All right.
I think you see more of them now. You know, probably younger does and older bucks now, because a lot of the does got hit pretty hard. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they get shot up pretty good. So
Right. And I've seen less older ones. I've had to be
yeah,
really
yeah,
patient to get in that 2.5, 3.5 year old
yeah.
doe.
Because there's a lot of year and a half old does,
Yeah.
but yeah, you try to get an older. Yeah, they gave out a lot of doe permits
Yeah.
over the last handful of
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So.
And even the does. That's what I said. I wish.
Baiting. What do
I
you think about it?
I think it should be legal.
Yeah,
I think it's
me too.
bullshit. Anybody tell anybody they can't put something down to attract an animal and
Right.
harvest it.
Or at a certain time of the year, you gotta let your bird feeders run empty because
Right.
you know if a deer comes in there to eat some sunflower seeds on the ground, you're baiting and you could go to jail.
I don't understand how I can have an apple tree
Yeah.
up there
Yep.
and I can hunt over it.
Yep.
But if I pick those apples up and move them over
Yeah. You're
here,
baiting, and
that's
that's
illegal.
wrong and illegal.
Apples on my property.
Right.
I have an apple tree,
So
but I can't move them. And it's right up by the
yeah,
road, so there's real no good place to
doesn't
hunt
that
up
kind
there.
of screw like some of the people that actually probably need the meat the most? You know, the poorest
Yeah.
people, like they're the ones that's got to go out in the woods. They don't have 60 acres with 3 or 4
Right.
food plots and a tractor to be able to, you know, till the soil up really good and seed their land real good and get this big, rich, you know, food plot, fence it in. We know how expensive fencing
Mm-hmm.
is. Holy God.
Mm-hmm.
So, why in the hell are you telling those guys they can't take a couple bags of, you know, apples out or carrots or, you know, when I when I started out, and I still think hunting, even though I get it, you know, we're trying to get a bigger, better breed of buck, but
I'm not talking buck. I'm talking
I
across
like,
the whole herd.
yeah, I know, but I'm saying like we used to like take a truckload of sugar beets. Like it was a 6 foot tall pile.
Yeah.
Like the deer could climb it like a
Yeah.
mountain,
Oh
and they
yeah.
climb right up on top and eat the
Yeah.
ones on top. There were times you could sit there and there'd be 18 deer around
Yeah.
that pile of beets just picking out on it.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And then you know this.
You
Little,
almost have to think that has to benefit the herd too.
how could it not? You know, I watch the deer and I see, oh,
And,
you're affecting the natural behavior of a deer. And I'm watching these deer in the UP, like, eat tree bark
yeah.
and pine needles because there's no food.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much snow. Like, why not let farmers go out and throw a hay wheel out for them? And you know, like, my philosophy was, you know, feed the deer all year long.
Yeah.
Not just, you know, for 2 weeks
Yeah.
in the winter. Like, if I had a food plot and the food plot was expired, and I want to scatter some beets around. And once a week, I want to go out there and scatter a bunch of beets around for the whole winter. So what? You know, how does that hurt the deer? You know, how
And
does it hurt the rabbits and the
Yeah.
other animals that, you know, the birds that eat the corn and the other animals that eat the carrots and apples and stuff that we throw out there.
And I'm not a biologist, all
Yeah.
right. And I maybe it's not healthy to have a big pile where all these animals are gorging and pissing and shitting all
Yeah,
night.
maybe not.
Maybe scattering it around's a
Yeah.
better option. Whatever that may be.
But how can you say if I throw a little
Right.
bit of corn on the ground and
Right.
scatter it around,
Right.
and that's any different than the deer eating the corn out of the field once it's been combined?
Right.
And there, there's corn scattered all over the place that is left over. So you can tell farmers they can't farm anymore?
Right.
Well, they might nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully Biden doesn't see this because this would be another executive order. You know, because food's going to be scarce, so let's stop the farming. But I'm only half kidding. But yeah, I don't really see the difference there. Then you know, if I see 12 deer out in a field milling around on some alfalfa, like
Well, and there's
you know,
actually evidence that points that if you feed all year,
yeah,
if everybody fed, they would keep the population and disease control very centralized and very local to a limited
Starving
area.
deer get sick.
Now that
Yeah.
starving deer travel
And they travel.
and they spread
Yep, they
disease.
spread disease and they get hit by
They'll
cars.
travel
and,
miles
yep.
and miles. They're going to travel till they
Sure.
find food. But if they already have some food here,
Yeah.
they'll just stay here and continue to eat
Right.
this food here. They're not going to range far.
So
A couple hundred acres.
I agree with baiting. Secondly, obviously, because I'm a freedom thumper,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like, I want people in the world to be free to be able to make
Mm-hmm.
some basic decision. Like, I get it. There's got to be some laws. You can't stab your neighbor because he pisses you off,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fair enough. You know, 10 Commandments. If everyone just followed them, the world would be a pretty happy place to live.
And and I want to back up just a second to what you're saying about feeding and people's
Right.
ability to gather food. If you're taking a young kid out hunting, and you want them to harvest their first deer,
Right.
are you gonna hope that the deer just walks down this trail and stops perfectly broadside at 15
Right.
yards, stands static, till this kid
Yeah.
can
Making all kinds of noise and rattling.
Can-
His teeth are clattering because he's so
can
excited.
yeah
Or she's
can
so
get
excited.
whatever weapon they're
Yep.
using in a position?
Right.
Good luck. Good effing
Yeah.
luck.
You're probably, if they do get a shot off, they're probably going to wound the animal.
Right.
It's going to be in coyote food.
You know what a little bait does? Keeps that animal static for a
Yeah.
couple minutes. Keeps it in one spot.
Let them
It's
put
calm.
their head down.
Right.
Yeah.
Give that kid a chance to
Sure.
make a nice, clean,
Yeah.
successful harvest.
Because we
That-
know, there's a lot of places in this area that they just do not have good defined deer runs. I get it. Find a run, find an area where the deer are traveling between a bedding area and food or feeding and water. I know all that, pinch points, funnel areas, but if you're
It's very densely populated
Yes.
around here. We don't
Right.
have that freedom of
yeah,
vast wildernesses where
exactly. So, I mean, especially through archery season, because I said earlier before the show, I said, having game walk through off in the distance. I mean, I can thread a bullet through
Mhm.
there. I'm fine with that. But man, especially through archery, when you're trying to bring that game in close
Mhm.
and keep it calm at 20 yards away, I mean, that deer can almost hear your eyelids when you blink, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, let them bait. God, this is just stupid.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. And I just have not really, all the articles I've read, all the science I've read on it, I just don't see anything compelling of why you shouldn't be able to throw a couple bags of carrots out there.
Mhm.
Now if
No,
you
like I
don't
said,
really
there's
want them in a pile, you want to scatter them around, fair enough. I'd accept that.
Like I
But
said,
give people the chance.
there's actually some evidence that the deer that are consistently fed stay in a small core area, and that
Right.
deer disease is kept in
Sure.
that small core area.
Right.
Deer that have
And
to
then-
wander for food are going to travel
Yeah.
long distances
Yeah,
and
they
spread
will.
those diseases from where they came from to where they're going.
And then, like,
It doesn't-
when I was off grid, I had a nice chunk of property. It was decently
Yeah.
large. I had multiple food plots. But I'll tell you, even there, I had one kind of reasonably defined deer run. Everything else was just deer just kind of wandering in and out from different directions. And, it was
And that's-
almost impossible to just put a stand out somewhere and set up there. I mean, eventually it's going to happen. Something's going to walk by. But you had to put a lot of hours in your ass out there to
Mhm.
have that happen. It just is a terrible way. Like, and I get it, these guys that, that's hunting, and, you put your time in and you do your scouting, and you know what? This, to me, is not about bragging that I'm more manly than you. I wear a bigger shoe than you, bruh. Mine's about just putting some meat in the freezer and having a good hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Spending time with my
Again,
loved
somebody,
ones,
but again, and we've seen this with
Mm-hmm.
traditional archers to compound archers
To
to crossbow
which
guys, and
that
it's
I
it's like, what does it matter by what means?
just get it done, humanely, quick.
Now I get
and
there
fill the
are
freezer.
some ethics, like a spotlight at night probably isn't very fair to the animal.
I don't know. Is it?
Well,
I'd like to dive into that actually, because some of the studies I've seen is like in the last 50 years, deer have really gotten to be more nocturnal than they
Mhm.
ever were. Like naturally 50 years ago you'd see a lot of deer through the middle of the day. They would eat, they'd lay down for an hour or two, they'd get up, they'd be moving again, right? And now you hear every hunter in the world complains the minute hunting season starts, and you start getting that human scent, and the pressure, the deer feel the pressure instantly. Boom, they shut off. Oh, the deer nocturnal already. We all got trail cameras. We see it. 2 o'clock in the morning, the deer coming in. We shoot raccoons at night.
Mm-hmm.
If that's when the deer actually are the most active, let us shoot them at night then. Eventually they'll quit being nocturnal and it'll swing the other way, and they'll be moving around the daytime again. I think
I
even
think
that.
I think it'd
Give
be a
us
hard
that hour and a half after daylight.
I think it'd be a hard sell to sportsmen that, you know.
But really, give me a compelling argument why. What would be the why? Because you'd shoot more deer that way successfully, so the state would sell the same amount of tags, but more deer would be killed. So to try to manage that deer herd, they have to limit the tags, so that they're not getting free money for deer that you're never going to shoot. Because I bought your combo license, and then some doe permits, and then ended up not filling half of that stuff every year, every single year. So I don't know. I just think could you give them an hour after dark, or 2 hours? But okay, not out there at 1 o'clock in the morning. At one time, I think the argument was it was dangerous. You could shoot other hunters. A lot of people hunt in the stand now. They're shooting downward, or do it for only archery. Then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you got a light. We got lighted pins. There's the technology now. You can put
Like thermal?
thermal
Yeah.
on there. They trust hunters enough to shoot coyotes at night or raccoons at night. And at night, hell, you're shooting a 22 up in the air.
Yeah.
Through the treetops. Where's that coming down at when it falls back to earth? So really, I don't think there really is a good argument of why you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Other than it's just never been done that way before. That's not the way we do it. Well, maybe we got to change a little. Because I get a lot of deer that come through my area an hour after I'm gone. A half an hour after I'm out of that area, they come through.
I guess it comes down to ethical, fair chase. That
Yeah.
when it's daylight, it's more of an even playing field between you and the animal. That you guys can equally see each other just as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it for a while. And
Yeah, chew on that one.
Yeah.
It's something I've thought of a lot. Like, if the behavior of the deer is changing, then the behavior of the hunter's got to change too. That makes it fair.
maybe there would be too many taken, and it would affect the.
Then don't give people 12 deer tags. You know what I mean? Because come on, you've seen it as much as I have. Freddie's out there hunting, and you're like, "Hey, how you doing? I got 6 deer already. And, I'm just shooting this one for my grandma, and then I'm gonna shoot 2 more for Uncle John, and then 2 more for cousin Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just got out of jail. He's a felon. He can't hunt. So I'm gonna fill his freezer too, because you could buy them doe tags, one a day, or whatever. And they just wanted to just whack shit. They were just out there killing deer left and right and giving them away to everyone. Like, we probably could limit these tags some. Like I said, I'm. It's very rare that I have ever tagged out.
Yeah.
So limit them. The only thing that you would see is the state not wanting to lose that money.
Well, they're still getting the money through. Oh, you mean through?
Yeah, because they're limiting tags. They're not selling as many,
gotcha.
but then probably what they would do is just increase the price of a tag anyways. And it's already more expensive than beef. So I think it's greed. I don't know. I just really thought hard on that, and I could not really think of a good solid reason of why you shouldn't be able to shoot a deer an hour after dark.
Yeah, I'd have to. I have to think about that a little bit more, and internalize it. Really feel
Sure.
how I feel about that.
Yeah, chew on that. I'd be curious.
On the surface,
like being thrown on the spot about it. I understand.
No, just initially my mind says, well, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. But why is it wrong? You know what I'm saying?
We shoot raccoons that way.
Yeah.
Raccoons, did we shine the light up in the tree and, Then
For
the dog
different
finishes
reasons.
it
For
off.
different reasons, though.
And we're not even eating the raccoons.
No,
You
but
know.
because of the nuisance aspect, like good luck finding a raccoon during the daytime to
Right.
harvest, right?
Right. I've shot them a
And
couple of times, but yeah, it's at
it's
night.
very,
It's hard to get them during the
right,
day.
right.
Right.
I mean, because they're
But a
truly
lot of
are.
the raccoons we were shooting weren't really nuisance raccoons. We weren't shooting them like at the chicken coop or
Yeah.
on that 10 acres around the chicken coop. We were across town in a different portion of woods, like shooting just wild raccoons for the pellets and stuff.
But
Like
I would assume
and the fun of it.
they'd become nuisance because as
Maybe,
that area gets overpopulated,
yeah,
they're gonna
they
move
push them
out
out.
there and find new area
Sure, but
and
you just
it's
shoot
not like
them
we were out in remote Montana,
right.
100 miles from the nearest house. I mean,
But we were still shooting like
yeah,
not the nuisance raccoon, like even okay. So if they overpopulate and they push them out of their area, you're gonna get them onesie twosies. That's actually making it to your land and not the neighbors or somewhere else. So you just shoot them as they become a problem.
hmm
We were doing it for the sport of it too, for the hunt, to watch the dog tree the coon, and the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
experience, was wonderful. I love it. But we do it at night. We do it with flashlights, and I don't know, like predator hunting. You shoot predators at night, like
Last night I went out and loaded the outdoor wood burner there, and I heard coyotes.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love
they
that
were
sound.
they were yelping off. I could
Yeah,
hear.
I love
I
listening to
I
them
could
yell.
identify three of them, and the
Yeah.
neighbor's dog down the road was
Started going
barking.
in with them.
And no, he was bark. I think they were closer to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was
They were over in that
right.
area, and yeah, I could hear him
Yeah,
barking. So I don't know if he smelled them.
maybe.
He's one of those big. I don't. There's a name for them. They're like big white farm dogs, and they live outside their whole life.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I'd
I
be
know what
lying
you're
if I
talking
even
about.
guessed.
I,
But they're
it'll come to me in a
specific
minute.
for
Yeah.
that reason, protect.
Yeah, they're a farm dog to protect.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a lot of them they don't. You teach them when they were young the perimeter, and they respect it. There's something
Yeah.
about the breed
He
of
stays
that
right
dog.
inside their horse
Not a
fences there.
Burmese, or
I couldn't. Like I said, I'd be lying if I guessed.
it'll come.
But that dog's never been inside.
Because we were gonna get one for our farm.
You walk
Yeah.
on there at 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
and he'll come right to the edge of the horse
Yeah.
fence, bark at you,
Yeah.
and he doesn't cross their driveway.
Yep.
Cause I run down
They're
that
beautiful
way.
dogs
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I told the wife, I said that's what we need.
Yeah.
Cause that we
They
would
never.
never.
You don't chain those dogs.
Mm-mm.
Like you just teach them the barrier,
Yeah.
and they respect it. Like,
They actually had that underground fence when he was
yeah.
younger,
Right.
and that's a huge area they
Yeah.
fenced in there, and he had the shock collar.
Right.
But I don't think it's on him anymore. I think,
No.
yeah.
Those dogs typically you don't have to.
But I told the wife, I said, that's what we need. I said, that fox would have never got those chickens.
Right. Oh no.
That's the point of
Right.
it.
Yeah, he would have killed that
Yeah.
fox.
That's crazy. Those
We were
dogs.
gonna get one for our farm, and then another thing we looked at was donkeys,
Mm,
because donkeys will kill a coyote. They'll stomp it right to death, and they get real protective of the other animals on a farm. I did not know that. Just kind of weird, all the things you learn, farming and taking care of animals. You had no idea. I'll give you one. This is something I wanted to bring up. Like, I love Tim Pool's videos. I watch them every day. Those guys,
I'll
the
listen to his
camaraderie they
podcast.
have, it's great. It's fun. I don't always
I
agree
think-
with everything they say, but I enjoy their
For anybody
show.
out there, I think that's a good happy medium.
Yeah, I think he's a good, solid show.
I think that's.
yeah.
I just think it's a good middle ground
Yeah.
of
Information to get
Right.
that's
and
balanced between the intensity of what's going on, but
Right.
relaxing and still enjoying life too. I think they
Right.
blend it together
Right.
well. The one thing he does though, like he's got these chickens and he loves chickens,
Mhm.
and he's always talking about his chickens, and it cracks me up. And he's gotten smart over the time of having chickens. I've listened to his stories about them, and he knows the species
Mhm.
really good now, and he's learned a lot. But he's always telling people like, yeah, whatever, man, the bugs, just go and get chickens. Chickens eat the bugs, we eat the eggs,
Mhm.
and then eventually, if you want, eat the chickens.
Mhm.
And I did leave a comment in there, but I don't know, because so many people comment
Oh,
on
yeah.
videos that probably never even read it, or no one even looked at it. But that works really good down south. doesn't work so good up north.
Right.
And you have to supplement a chicken's diet half
Mm-hmm.
the year and
Mm-hmm.
over half the year. I free range chickens
Mm-hmm.
for years. I free range chickens, but in the winter
Mm-hmm.
they're not out ranging.
Mm-mm.
When there's 6 inches of snow, they're not out there.
No bugs to be had.
There's no bugs. There's no
Yeah.
bugs. So
Yeah.
you have to. So
Yeah.
unless you have a way of like haying your own field and getting some wheat and getting your own grain, some oats, stocking oats and chicken scratch, things like that, cracked corn, like you got to supplement their diet in the winter. And in the winter, even if you do open it up, they come out a little bit, but they like to huddle together for warmth, right? You see them
Yeah.
all perched together nice and tight. You slip your hand in there and it's like 80 degrees.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they can generate heat like that. But yeah, raising chickens down there, so it's not so easy, Tim, is just telling people, well, if you want to eat food and you don't want to eat the bugs, just get some chickens. Because there's a lot to it, especially the further north you get.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit more complicated raising chickens and ducks. Just something that I catch sometimes when he's talking about his chickens. And I would think, man, someone would kind of not correct him on them, but make them aware of
Mm-hmm.
it. You know what I mean? Like yeah, you should probably mention that when you're telling people to go buy chickens. It's really easy. It's really easy. You just let them out and they eat the bugs, and then we eat the eggs.
And the
then
other-
the
the other-
mama blows up some kids.
The other the other problem is we tried free ranging too,
right,
but those chickens don't care where they find the bugs, so they end
Right.
up in the front yard in our mulch.
Yes.
We have nice red
Yeah.
mulch laid down.
tear it
they
all
they
up, dig it all
they have
out.
it spread
Yep.
all over the grass.
Or they get in the edge of the woods over there, and guess
Mhm.
what? Fox gets
Yep.
them. Right. So, because he's even today is talking about chickens and just and the great thing about chickens is they make more chickens. Well, they do when you have a broody hen, and 1 out of 6 hens that I had would probably be broody enough to hatch eggs,
Yeah.
but that really only works good at one time of the year, right? Unless you can bring them in and put the eggs in an incubator and then hatch your chicks, raise them till they're big enough to introduce them. Look at what
Yeah.
I've watched you go through the
Yeah.
same things I've went through with that, and when you throw chicks in with adult hens, they'll eat them. Chickens don't give a shit. They like chicken too.
And I know people on here are gonna be like, "Well, hunt the fox." Well, no shit.
But you're not
Okay,
gonna eat the fox.
I work a full-time fucking job, 10
Right.
hours a day.
Yeah.
And the one day I was off, I was 200 yards away in the woods checking a tree stand.
Yeah.
And I saw the fox run up in the backyard. I just walked through there 3
Yeah.
minutes ago.
Right.
Grab a chicken. I don't think I hit a step all the way down that tree. Got in the house,
Yeah.
got a gun. I knew
He's
the direction he went. Try
Yeah.
hunting a fox.
Yep.
Try
Good luck.
trapping him.
You ever hear sly as a fox?
Right.
There's a reason they say that.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no shit. Like, I get it. But you
It's
can't.
not that
I
easy,
just don't
man.
have the time to camp over my hen house. And the other one he got, my
Yeah.
wife had just came home, hauled some groceries in,
Yeah.
hadn't even opened the shade on the window. I got the alert on the security camera.
Yeah.
He'd already gotten one,
Yeah.
and he was gone
he's
with it.
brave, man. He is not shy. He's definitely lost the hunger overtook the fear of man with him
Yeah.
for sure. He's pretty brazen. He's got
Right,
to
he's
go. He's a
calculated,
problem.
though. He's
Yeah, he's
calculated.
smart. Foxes are smart.
Yeah.
So
It's like he's watching
Yeah.
us as much as he's watching
right.
those chickens.
Oh, I'm sure he's probably
has
back
to.
there just
How
laying
could he have
down
known?
in the weeds
I just walked
Yep.
through there.
and waited for you to get
Yep.
through, and then he made his move.
Yep.
you
And just
know?
like the day she came home,
Yeah.
hauled them groceries in. She hadn't even opened the shade yet.
So chickens are work.
Yeah.
They're
So
work.
now,
Mucking the
now
stalls,
I
you
keep
know?
them. Their fence is closed.
Sure.
They're fenced in. He can't get to them.
Right.
They can't get out.
Yeah.
It sucks because we lost 4 really good egg layers
Right.
over this summer.
Man, that hurts. That's you're 6 months away. You know what I mean?
One was raccoon,
Yeah.
and then the others were that fox. And finally now we've had to keep them.
Even the genetically altered birds, unless you're dealing with Cornish and meat birds, it takes a while to raise a chick into a laying hen.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of work that's in there. So, I wish he wouldn't make it sound quite so easy. Because I think
guess it
people are going to
depends
go and
on-
buy some chickens and they're going to find out like, well,
Right.
man, this is kind of It's a
well,
lot of work, you
I
know.
guess it depends. If you have a fenced-in backyard in town and you're allowed to have chickens,
And you put a little
it,
coop out there,
yeah, it can
sure.
be. You get 3 hens. Like
Yeah.
chances of a predator getting in your fenced-in backyard.
Raccoons,
Yeah, you could.
raccoons will.
But if you close them up at night, if
Yeah.
you lock them in the hen house at night,
Because
chances
you've seen
are,
the coons go right through that chicken wire
yeah,
into the coop.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I every time and there was a little while I had 150 chickens,
yeah,
man, and a bunch of ducks and everything else. So
yeah.
it was stupid that I built that coop was the size of a log cabin, and the coons would break in, and I would figure out how they did it, and I would fix it and make it impossible for them to get in, and then they would figure out a different way.
Mm-hmm.
They were almost as bad getting in as my beagles were escaping and getting out. It was
Mm-hmm.
almost impossible to make a real true raccoon proof coop. And
Mm-hmm.
I could keep the possums out pretty good. They're only going to challenge it so much, but man, raccoons are smart and they're tough.
Hungry.
And they're hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, they will rip that wire out. I tack that wire down different ways between staples and tacks and bent nails and screws, and how they can rip it open like that sometimes it amazes me. I guess desperateness to get some chicken,
Mm-hmm.
and it would always kind of start the same. They'd get in, they'd take some eggs, and I'm like, whatever. I lost a few eggs, but eventually they see that chicken sitting there and just, they can't resist it. They're like, screw the egg, I'm taking the chicken. I lost a lot of chickens over the years to raccoons. I trapped a lot of raccoons. I didn't want to shoot them all, so I live trapped them and took them miles away and dropped them off. But at least for people, when you're getting north of the equator up this way, like, yeah, chickens are not. They're a little more work than. They're worth it for sure. I love the farm eggs. Like, my cholesterol was great. I ate all kinds of eggs and I never had cholesterol problems.
Right.
It's about a third less cholesterol than a store bought egg. And
Mm-hmm.
if you free range your chickens, it's about 2/3 less cholesterol.
Supposedly higher vitamins A
Yeah.
through E. Yeah.
Yep. So they're definitely good for
Yeah.
you. They taste better. I
I th-
remember
and
the
I think
story
it's
you
more.
told me about the brownies or something that your wife made with
Yeah.
the store bought eggs, and everyone could tell that I
Yeah.
think it were brownies,
Yeah.
that they were better, and everybody picked the ones that were made
Yeah.
out of the farm eggs,
Yeah.
and yeah, it definitely.
I think it's a more ethical way of procuring eggs
Mhm.
too, versus
Oh, I hate
knowing
the Megatron
how
farms.
when you buy those eggs out of the store.
God.
That's why I would encourage anybody that can legally own chickens,
So,
get some. Just get
sure.
a small flock.
Yeah.
Make sure you have a secure place for them,
And man, they can get friendly.
because your neighbor's dog will kill them just as
Oh,
fast
yeah.
as a coyote.
Yeah, we have
Dogs have a tendency
Yeah.
to, for some reason, to want to kill chickens.
Your brother-in-law lost a lot of
Mhm.
chickens to neighbors'
Yeah.
dogs, and man, it was sad. Like,
Because, like you're saying, it's a lot of work, and it's not. To me, it's not a lot of work. We give them some food, we give them some water.
right.
That's it. We
Muck
collect
their
our
stall,
eggs.
yeah,
Yeah,
or
we
their
go out
coop.
there and, every couple weeks we got to shovel out. Because we do let them out of their coop, and they
Right.
have like a.
Chicken
How
run,
big do you think that is? That's got to be
oh, it's good
that's
size.
gotta be
yeah.
24 by 40 maybe?
40, 50 maybe.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
4-foot fence,
Yeah.
so the fox can't get to them inside there.
Right.
So they do get out. Now the days like it's raining
Yeah.
or for whatever reason we don't let them out, that's where they accumulate a lot of crap
Right.
in the bottom of their coop because they're just sitting in there all
Yep.
day eating and shitting. But we scrape that out every couple weeks
Yeah.
just with a flat shovel, get the shit out of there, and any of up in their nesting area, just scrape out the pine shavings,
Sure.
throw some new in there. It's
And I'm not saying like it's a terrible amount of
No.
work, like you can't do it. It's definitely worth it. I just think
Mhm.
it's a lot more work than what Tim kind of romanticizes about the chickens.
Well,
Like, he almost makes it sound
maybe-
like they're self-sufficient. You don't have to touch them, and maybe down south it is easier. Like, free ranging your birds, there probably is bugs all year long that they can eat. You probably
but-
don't have to supplement their food as much. But you're also forgetting you're getting out of work on Friday. You got to drag your ass to Tractor Supply and go get feed. Go get new fresh straw for that. there's a lot more than just like I have some chickens in the backyard and I'm gonna go get their eggs. There's work to it.
But
And investment.
maybe he's trying to simplify it so more people get them, so that more people
Maybe.
have food.
Right. And I mean, they'll
If he
learn.
makes it
I
seem,
learned.
if he feels if he makes it burdensome
Yeah.
and this
People won't do
complicated
it.
thing, people won't do it. So maybe he feels
Yeah.
like if he simplifies it, people will get
Sure.
them. I had a guy at work ask me, man, I've been trying to talk my wife into it, but she said it's too hard and this and that. I'm like, it's nothing your kids can't take care of as a
Right.
regular chore.
Sure.
It's really some food, water, collect some eggs every
like
couple
having a
weeks, clean them
cat.
out.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Feed it, water it, change its litter.
And like ours, that they have a 2.5 gallon water,
Right.
and their feeder
You don't
is
fill that every day.
4 gallons. I think their feeder is.
Yeah.
Yeah, every 3-4 days,
Yep.
and then
Yeah, and then the
every
coon wants to get in there to get to the feeder.
yeah.
And then it goes from the feeder to the eggs, and then
Yeah.
the eggs to the chicken every time.
Yeah.
So, no, it's definitely worth it. Like, I loved having chickens. I wouldn't have 150 ever
No.
again.
No, I think-
I did not believe that you could really get an egg a day out of a chicken. I thought that was exaggerated.
Yeah.
And no, most of the breeds of birds that I ended up
Pretty
with,
close.
really close to an
Yeah.
egg a day. I had so many eggs I couldn't give them away. I was giving eggs away to every human being I knew, just because you don't want to waste them.
Yeah.
Until I knocked that flock down until it was
Mhm.
reasonable. Yeah, a half a dozen chickens. Is just perfect. A little hobby farm. Maybe some raised beds back there that you can fence off a little bit so the chickens ain't getting in there eating, your vegetables and stuff that you're growing. But yeah, it can be a lot of fun and very rewarding.
I want to go back to that fishing controversy.
The
That's-
cheater,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty wild, man. That's
sad.
really, for me, it's shaken my faith in the fishing industry.
Sure.
Because I've known for a long time, the fishing industry catches more fishermen than fishermen catch fish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like lures, right?
Right.
We're like, oh, what lure? What color? This and that. And it does have an effect to a degree.
I
A
don't
lot
know.
of lures are designed, I
we
think.
can debate that too, because my friend that's a pro amateur walleye guy, and me and him would buy the hell out of custom colors. Customs got to be the thing, because here I got this bait and you can't buy that in the store, and I catch more fish on this Wonder Bread color than any. I think the real good article, me and him debated that forever. I thought customs was more for the fishermen than the fish. It was status, like I have a Matthews bow, or it was just. I think we fall for the shiny as much as the fish do. I think when a new lure comes out, my feeling was the reason it worked so good was because it's a little different action. It looks a little bit different than what those fish are used to seeing. So they want to eat it and taste it and see what it is. And you notice after a couple of years of a new lure that's the go-to, it does kind of slow down, and it doesn't, because everyone's using it. The fish are used to seeing it now. And then something new comes on. As far as color, the best study we could find really substantiated my argument more than his, that in reality the walleye only seeing a couple of colors, it doesn't make that big of a difference. So custom colors really were truly for the sportsman and not the fish. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I could be. I'm not a biologist.
Right.
But the best research I could do and find, that's what it led you to believe. Which I still have fun collecting them, and I'm still gonna buy custom colors.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because they're neat looking, and I like kind of taking on the guy that I'm fishing with, going, "Hey, yeah, you don't got this color, do you? Oh, I'm kicking your ass today because I got the color and you don't." Like, yeah, I like that. It's fun.
To me, it's like an art. I have
Yeah.
lures that guys have made me that just hang back there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I
they're
got
like
some I
art
don't
to
use.
me.
Right. They're beautiful, man.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, he does custom colors, and he's doing them for the walleye tour right now. Like, he's huge with that, and man, it's just beautiful. I've looked at his because I've painted my own, and they
Mm-hmm.
work. You know what I mean? But man, I've looked at some of his stuff and said,
It's
"How
art.
did you even do
Yeah,
that?"
it's art.
Like, yeah, it is. It's really neat.
I just wonder, like, I understand what led this. I'm sure it's greed. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's pure greed, like, that led these
yeah,
gentlemen to allegedly have done what
right.
they had done, right?
The sad thing is, from what I understood, is the fish they had without cheating,
Yeah.
they were still way. They would have won that easily.
I don't know if they would have won.
You
I
know.
listened to a podcast the director
Mhm.
did. That guy that was cutting those fish open.
Yeah.
I don't know. They. I don't. I'm not
Because
gonna
he had the
say.
biggest fish. The article I read was he
Yeah.
had the biggest
It
fish,
sounds
and
like it would have been close, whether or not
really,
they had
see, the
enough
one
weight.
I
Yeah.
read said
Yeah.
they
I'll
they
send you
had
the
it. Yeah,
podcast, and
the article I read said they absolutely had it,
I
which
don't.
made it even
Yeah, they
worse.
definitely didn't have
You
to go
know.
as far as they did,
Yeah, and then they
but
cheated so drastically, like
yeah,
you know.
yeah. He was saying because he sees
Yeah,
thousands of fish.
right. And
So
you
when
get
he
a
saw,
fish this size, and
yeah,
it's
and that's what he said.
14 pounds. Like, come on, man,
Yeah, he
something's
said
wrong
when
here.
he was looking at it,
Yeah,
that he's like, oh, this one's gonna weigh about this,
yeah,
and he was doing the calculation in his head
sure.
about where they'd be placing, as they were in line.
And from my understanding, is he won like 300,000 last year in the tournaments and a
They,
new boat and
they,
stuff.
they,
Yeah, the guy that cheated. Yeah,
both of them.
or well, both of
Yeah,
them. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah, they both.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I've heard their winnings have been substantial,
yeah,
and there's been a lot of people questioning.
you know,
I
probably
guess,
was cheating all the way through, but
but
can't prove it,
then
right?
I was wondering how many of those guys all are cheating
Oh yeah.
to some degree. Maybe not to that
Look,
level where
it's
they're
it's really
shoving.
common that those guys will shove sinkers in the fish. But you got to be careful with that because a lot of times when you pull your fish out to weigh it, they puke.
Yeah,
They puke up what they just ate. So they start puking up sinkers. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty easy to get caught too. But all those guys cheat. They don't follow the boundaries. They
right.
get out of the boundaries somewhere where they know there's some big fish stacked that they've been pre-fishing it for
So
the
I
last
would
week.
imagine, with that high of stakes,
Hmm.
those kinds of winnings,
Right.
sponsorships.
There's a lot of pressure on, man.
But I assume,
Especially if you're the guy on top. So this could have been, look, the guys they won, and then they had the pressure to stay on top. So then they started cheating. Who
yeah,
knows? It's sad, real sad. Just really takes your heart out of these tournaments. Like
yeah.
why even pay attention to them?
That's why I said
everyone
kind
is
of shaking
cheating.
my faith.
Yeah.
Because then I look at other tournaments that I
Hmm.
followed, and I'm like, how is it the same guy or the same couple of
Right.
guys stood on top for so long? If they're
Hmm.
pretty much all equally matched in skills, you're telling me this one guy or these two guys in this tournament dominated for 3 or 4 years when.
You have the tournament that's local when it
Yeah,
opens. I won't
yeah,
say where, but you know what I'm
yeah.
talking about. You
The one
you
I
get in,
partake
yeah,
in, yeah,
you get
yeah,
into it. I usually do.
yeah.
Uh, but no one that fished local in those tributaries ever won, ever. It was always the guys that went out on the open water, the big water, and they would make that run. So unless you got $60,000, $80,000 for a nice boat, and all the fuel and all the gear and the know-how to get out there and get on those fish, like you really have a snowball's chance in hell of ever winning that tournament. You're just not
No,
ever
but I
going
know a
to,
guy who
you know.
consistent. Man, I shouldn't even talk about this on the podcast. I know a guy that consistently places
Yeah.
that has one of those feed troughs in his basement.
Mm-hmm.
Catches walleye, throws them in there,
Yeah.
fattens them up till spring tournament, and they end up
Right.
in his live well.
Sure. So there's always
Yeah, I'm like,
it's cheating. You know
right.
what I mean? Or it's guys that they have the money, they can do it. They can make that run.
Yeah,
The average guy fishing that tournament
yeah,
is low, which I always fished it because the camaraderie,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
got your buddy who's in a boat too.
yeah,
It doesn't take a lot of money. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You could a couple $100 here in
yeah.
this state to get a boat that would be worthy to,
Yeah,
to fish in
my
there.
kids and I
Yep.
did it last year.
Right.
We'll do it
So
again
that's
this year, I should
that's
say, and
what
we'll
I
do it
love.
again next
I
year.
love that tournament. I do, but I never fished it ever believing that
No.
because you just don't have the fish in the river
Yeah.
of that quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not that
they're
time of year.
No, they're in the big water. You
We
know?
still have fun doing it though.
Yeah,
We
it's
we
fun.
boat fish, and
Hmm.
I this year I caught everyone loose I caught.
Yeah. The
I don't
absolute
even weigh them. I don't even. It's just fun, like you
yeah.
said. Like
Just being part of
the
it, right?
camaraderie at the
Yeah.
boat launch. The
Yeah.
talking
The
with friends. What
excitement.
time are you getting out
Sure.
there? Where are you gonna be at?
Yeah.
Text you, hey, this is where I'm at, and
Yeah.
they'll meet up there and shoot the shit for a while. And
Yeah.
yeah,
But
that.
the guys in the big water do the same shit. They just
Yeah.
throw GPS coordinates to each other, and
Mhm.
we've met up with other boats on the water lots of times out there. Shot the shit for a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, and a lot of those guys too. Another thing they do is pool their fish.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
they get a
I've
lot of that.
I
So
know guys that have done it,
yep, for sure. So tournaments,
and that tournament has a lie detector test too.
yeah,
You know,
right,
but I mean, it, it is disheartening though that at that level you would think by then
people
that
be
it would truly just be like you won it this
right,
time just because you were on them, and next week
right.
next
I'm
time
gonna
we
do the hard
won
work, and I'm gonna
because
pre-fish. The tournament me and him won, and we did great. But we pre-fished. We had a good idea where the fish were. The weather was bad that day, and he said, "Do you want to stay local and play, or are we gonna make the run?" And I said, "Go big or go home,
hmm
baby. Let's go for it." And we made the run, and we won. We
hmm
won a good amount of money. It was fun. It was a blast. The weigh-ins are awesome. I love being part of it. It just, you know,
I
it,
just
it is disheartening the way some of them people behave like that. So.
like, what did those guys do now? Because like they completely shit away their
Yeah,
fishing careers, right?
right.
Like
They're
I
gonna have a hard time ever recovering
I
from
don't know
that.
if they
They're
worked
not getting
regular.
any sponsors ever
Yeah, I
again.
don't know if they worked regular jobs and this was a side thing, or if this was their
At that
career.
level, it might have been
That's what
career.
I'm wondering.
Yeah,
And if it was like, was your house get foreclosed now? Your
right.
trucks
Well,
get
I mean, he still
repossessed?
has a
Like,
$100,000 boat there. You could sell to
right? But
keep your house afloat
you
for a
know
while.
as well
But
as I
yeah,
do. You you finance your
yeah,
lifestyle, and you used to
sure.
live in that lifestyle
That's
based
hard.
on that you're gonna
The,
take this
they
much
call it
in,
the
and
fall from grace for a reason, man. It
right.
hurts. That hurts your feelings.
I'll tell you a fishing story. It was funny. We were actually in that tournament this year,
Yeah,
and we were going by this spot. My kids are older now.
yeah,
I can tell them some stories, and
right.
we're getting more to that friendship instead of the
Yeah,
parent relationship. And we were going by this spot, and I told him, I said, man, I was probably 14, 15, right around there, maybe 16, and it was right downtown there, Main Street. And there was like some studio apartments above those old buildings down
yeah,
there, and these guys we knew, they'd go down there and jam out,
right.
2, 3 in the morning. Real big open floor
Yeah,
plan area, just to hang.
right.
And we'd ride our bikes down there, and I'd usually stay at my buddy's house, and his mom was
Yeah,
not really around, so we could do whatever the fuck we wanted. And we'd ride down there and listen to them guys jam out and shit,
sure.
smoke cigarettes and shit,
Yeah. All the bad things.
Right, and so we were going by this spot, and I was telling the kids, I'm like, you see that? Well, there was like this balcony that came over this storm drain discharge. I'm like, you see that spot there? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, one time my buddy Mike and I were coming down here. I was telling about that where the studio apartment
Yeah,
was, where them guys would jam out. And I knew Winchester'd like it because he likes playing guitar.
right,
And this is that transition between the hair bands and the grunge scene.
right,
So it was a pretty cool era of music.
right.
Anyways, I'm like, so we were coming down that road right there, and I had to piss. And so I told my buddy, I said, let's stop right here. I'll piss right by the river.
Yeah,
That way I ain't got to piss when we get there. And I'm pissing off this balcony, and I'm like talking to him,
right.
and I turned around like I was finishing up, shaking, zipping off, and I hear, you motherfucker. And I'm like, what'd
Uh-oh.
you say? He goes, I didn't say nothing. And dude,
Uh-oh.
this guy's coming up the bank.
Oh, yeah.
They were down there fishing.
And you
I
hosed
pissed
them.
on him.
Yeah, you hosed them.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And he's like, you motherfucker, I'm going to kill you, you son of a bitch. Well, luckily they were drunk, and they
Right.
couldn't make it up the bank very fast.
Yeah.
He got within about 10 feet of me. By the time I realized,
Ooh,
it's
what
not a
was
real
going on?
steep, it's not a
Right.
super steep bank there.
Yeah.
But by the time it was dark, it's like 2
Wow.
a.m. Holy shit, dude. I fucking zipped her up. We hopped
Yeah.
on our freaking
Thank
bikes, dude,
God.
and oh my
Yeah.
God. I thought,
Pedaling for your life.
yeah. Well, I knew if we got
Yeah.
close to that studio, we were safe. Like,
Right.
a couple fucking 40-year-old drunk guys, and these guys are all in
Oh
their early
man.
20s. They would have wrecked
Yeah.
them.
Can't
But I
believe you
just thought,
host a guy down
yeah,
there
I
fishing.
fucking pissed all over 'em.
Oh, that's funny.
I just thought, man, if they would have got a hold of me, though, right on the edge,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
probably would have
yeah.
thrown me in that
Oh,
fucking
you
water.
know
And
it. You were getting wet. Probably hosed and then wet.
the kids were just like, they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They were just like, what? Like, they thought it was
Yeah.
such a cool
Oh,
story.
that's
I was
awesome.
telling them about
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So I built a hat out of tinfoil. We got enough time, I think, to get into
Sure.
something else. What do you want? What do you want to deep dive in? You know, come on. I didn't build this hat for
Hmm.
nothing today.
I don't know,
What do you
man.
What do you want to get into? Ghosts, aliens, what? You know,
Hmm.
some more Bigfoot, or I don't know,
I don't know.
something else to deep dive, or just
What did I miss in the news this week? I really.
man, it's most of it's just nuclear holocaust shit. Like I don't know that I caught anything really good. Some people getting euthanized. That's getting to be pretty popular again, I guess. Doctor assisted suicide, but it's like not even old people now, man. It was like this girl she's Belgium, I think. 23, I think she was, and she was in a mall that had gotten bombed by ISIS and killed like
Uh,
33 people or somewhere in that vicinity, and she escaped uninjured. Didn't have any injuries, my lord.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but the trauma of it, emotionally took its toll. So 6 years later, she's on like handfuls of medication and she's been through therapy and she wanted to kill herself. So they euthanized her.
Mm.
And it kind of started this whole debate on, I mean, you have the right to live. Do you have the right to die if you want? But, can the government make you stay alive?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, of course, I'm very conflicted because I'm like, we don't need any more laws. We have enough laws. Like, who's the government to tell me what, on one hand, but on the other, if this person's sick, and obviously she was, and there was other methods to maybe help her that might have worked better that never was tried, do we have a obligation as a society to stop this for a minute and make sure that everything has been exhausted before you allow that to happen?
Hmm.
Now, then the question is do you help this person so it's done humanely, or do you just tell them suck it up, buttercup, and then they go home with a shotgun in the mouth and make a mess and traumatize their family? And I don't know. It was really complicated, and I thought, God, this is going to be a pretty heavy debate. But it's like the third one that's happened recently, and none of them were like physically well. The one gentleman in Canada, he had hearing loss, some hearing loss, and they said he wasn't even wearing his hearing aids. Had he worn those, it would have fixed it. He was just going through some depression, and he wasn't taking his medication. His family was against it, and they euthanized him anyways. The doctors
Hmm.
did. So,
Hmm.
um, like I think it was on Pool brought up some of it, or it was one of the other channels I watched. They said like population control anybody, like are they really just are we really going to go down that road as a society? I don't know. It was interesting debate in my own head, so I could imagine what society's going to do with this going back and forth. um I don't know, because it really conflicted me. Like I hate to see especially a young person take their life. And they were talking about people dying on the Golden Gate Bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people jump off that bridge, but some people survive. I'm pretty sure it was on Tim Pool's channel that he had told the story that there was a documentary done, and every one of those survivors, 100% of the survivors said the same thing, the same two things. One, that they were glad that they survived it, and two, that the minute they jumped, they had complete clarity of their depression, of there's nothing going on in their life that they could not fix. But they had that after they jumped. you know. So
So something happened chemically when they jumped.
yes, yep. So if you could figure out how they got that clarity, that breakthrough of their depression, where the minute they jumped, they thought, shit, my problems ain't that bad. Why'd I jump?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
So
mean?
there's instant regret.
Yes, instant regret. So should we really then, like, because what happens with these, what you're gonna have doctors now that are gonna charge you, is this gonna end up being a big giant money maker, like, the other medical treatments we've seen that was promoted heavily and lots of people got really rich off of it. I don't know, it's just really crazy to just instantly my brain rapid firing back and forth of part of me saying, well, I mean, if someone, you can't make someone live, and obviously you could try to prevent it, but and I know this from experience. This has happened in my family, that they're gonna do it. They'll find a way. You show up there and you pry the gun out of their hands, that they're gonna drive their car off a bridge. They'll figure out something, right? They'll shut themselves up in a garage and leave the vehicle running or a generator running, and pass that way. But again, is this something that we should promote though, or should this be like the very last way, and then okay, everything has been exhausted, you know? Because where does it stop when it's about mental illness and it's not really that I could see, like, if you were stage 4 cancer, you couldn't eat anymore, you've been through the chemo and radiation, like you're just done, and the quality of life is just terrible, to just want to go now. They were telling a story about someone that she was terminally ill, and she was only being kept alive by a machine. I mean, that without the machine, she'd die.
Right.
And they like weren't letting her pass. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
kind of why. Are you making money every day she lives on this machine, or what's going on there? Like I could understand someone like that, but when it comes to a relatively young, healthy person, like I don't know. It'll be a good debate. It'll be an interesting debate, but I think at least initially, and I haven't had much time to really like digest it and chew on it, but I think initially I kind of view it the same way I did abortion, that it shouldn't be illegal, but it shouldn't be anything that's really promoted either. You know what I mean? Like if there's some social pressure to just avoid it if you can, then maybe it'll knock enough of them down that it's kind of manageable, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's a lot of social pressures in North Korea too to make sure that people stay suppressed too.
Right.
So even social pressures scare me.
Can be wrong. Well, I mean, look at the social pressure for some of these medical treatments that we recently went through. Like, there was a lot of shame that was done to people
Right.
because
So
they didn't
that's
want
where
procedures done.
I
So
get,
yeah, that's true too.
you know,
Good point. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, that's tough. That's a real
mm-hmm.
tough one, man. Because I don't want to see them like turn this into some big fad of a bunch of 20-year-olds killing themselves because, you know, North Korea's testing missiles. China just started pushing their buttons again today. There's some aircraft carrier with nuclear missiles on there right now that they're, pushing into some of our territories.
I didn't
Like,
see it.
yeah, I seen that today. And then, Russia and, like, you know, the world's just a tough place right now, and it's probably going to get tougher for a while. The future's a little bit bleak. Go kill yourself for it, though. But then again, other people are saying, hey, it's natural selection. If you're too weak to survive it, you know, fine. Only the strongest survive, and we're animals like any other animal here. But I
feel
think
horrible for anybody that's
we're supposed to be a
dealing
little
with
bit
that
better than
that
animals,
mental
though.
conflict in their life, where, and a lot of these people have
Yeah.
what most people would consider a good life,
Right,
right?
right.
Like they have a decent job, they're
Yep.
paying their bills, they have a loving family around them, nice
Yep.
house, nice vehicle, full cupboards,
right?
something inside them.
So,
And I'm not even gonna try to. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me because I've
right,
never been in a situation where I've had those thoughts. I thank God every day I wake up that I wake up with,
right,
heart beating, lungs breathing,
sure.
mind thinking,
And you know what?
legs moving.
Every day when I wake up, I thank God for the same things.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even set up, before I take my morning leak, I thank God for having
Because I
another
think
day here. But me personally, and and I'll be honest with people there, like depression's something I struggled really heavily with,
yeah,
and I had some really difficult moments in my life. Um, but again, I'm here, and I'm glad that I'm here. And the thing is about depression is it convinces you that, and I by all measures have a wonderful life. I have a beautiful safety net of people around me that love me and support me, whether it be friends, whether it's family, my ex-wife, like, there's just great people around me. Um, Decent income, all the toys that, you could want. I could do all the hobbies and do them in style now.
mm-hmm.
I don't ice fish on a bucket in the cold anymore. I got an $1,800 nice warm shanty that I could take a nap in.
Mm.
It's just I fish in a hoodie. So I have
Further
all
re-
these
for,
wonderful things.
further
Yeah,
reinforce my point earlier about
sure. You know what I mean? Like I admit I fall into that. So like people would look at my life and I got wonderful kids and like why would you? But depression has this way of getting in your head and it's like this. It's I always described it's a self feeding entity. Like it can only live by you being depressed. It's like this just demon that's on you, and it's always whispering in your ear, like, your family would be better off without you. Yes, they love you. Yes, it hurt, but in the long run, you're doing them a favor.
mm,
Or don't get out of bed. Just today's not worth it. Like don't no, you don't want to get up. You don't want to take a shower. You don't want to eat, especially anything healthy. You know, um, because it gets stronger that way. And anything that you do that would make you feel better, depression is talking you out of it constantly. Because as you feel better, you start to conquer this. And I always viewed it as this battle inside me of good and evil, this demon that's always trying to get to me. And so when I didn't want to do those things, I'd have to fight harder to make sure, get your ass up, make sure you're doing something. Um, the spiritual aspect of it is another whole part that just empowered me, prayer, Christ, just being thankful for having the friends that I have, that being able to do this.
mm-hmm.
Look at what we've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I granted the channel might seem a little smaller at the second, but man, this was amazing. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something we dreamed about, like, and we're living it.
Mm-hmm.
We're living the dream now.
I look forward to every Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
I cannot wait. On Monday, I cannot wait for
I
Saturday
know.
afternoon.
I love doing this. It's and in some ways it's our therapy,
Yeah.
man. It's where we get to go
Our
to
reach
our
may
little
not be
cave.
far, but it will eventually.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. I think we
It'll.
have the right recipe. I think kind of that the whole just average guy and what they think,
Yeah.
what normal people kind of think
Yeah.
about stuff. I think is going to resonate real well. Depression, I think these people need help. I think we need to do a better job of helping them first before you give up on them and give them a needle.
Yeah.
I think we got to be really, really careful with that because I think what if this person says, "Look, I've tried everything. I just want to go, and it's my life. Let me go." But then
Mm-hmm.
if you did fix them, if you did help them in a certain way, help give them the tools to fight back, what happens if they would have actually changed their mind a week later? If you'd have given them one more week, they could have broke out of this and been someone that is productive in society. Like, so the whole, let the weak die off and only the strong survive. Yeah, but you know what? Bullshit. Because I've dealt with depression and I've spent years on an ambulance helping take care of people. I helped save lives. I helped be a good person in my community to help my community. I showed up at 11 o'clock at night to help grandma take her medication or her inhaler. Uh,
I
so
think
my life was worth something.
I don't think these people have ever been affected by suicide. I've
Right.
been affected by
Yeah.
suicide.
Right.
someone I know,
Yeah.
very closely committed suicide, and I seen what it did to the family
Destroys it.
afterwards, and
They don't
that's
recover.
that ripple effect is gonna spread into that person's
Yeah.
grandkids.
Right.
I once heard someone say one time that suicide was a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah. Amen to that.
If a problem can be solved with time or money, it's a good problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It it's just horrific, and that's why I think a lot of these people, that same shit,
Yep.
like, oh, the strong survive and they're fucking weak-minded and blah blah. Fuck off, all
Yeah.
right.
You just don't understand
When you
depression.
have when you have a loved one, a close friend commit suicide, and you have to see what
Yep.
their family deals with for the rest of their life, fucking come talk to me.
You watch these Navy SEALs come back here, or just even the military in general that was in Iraq and Afghanistan. They come back, they kill us. Those guys were warriors, man.
Right,
You're telling me they're pussies?
right,
No way.
right,
They're just broke.
right,
They need some help.
right.
That's all. So yeah, and suicide obviously impacted my life.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend
Mm-hmm.
did, and he was young. We were young, and there was different times, different stages in my life, whether it was the birth of a child or going to college or just different things that happened in my life. And I thought, these were monumental moments that he never got to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And had he
And
just held on, he would have moved out of those issues and found happiness. And I mean, we all have ups and
no
downs where,
doubt,
you get
100%.
happy, but then the bottom falls out. Like I told my middle son, you make a plan at life, and then, like they say, you throw a good plan out the window and you start making a new one because life doesn't go the way you always plan it to. Sometimes bad shit happens, and it's not that you made bad decisions, it's just the way it works. Like right now, the economy sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not any decision I made that economy suck.
Right.
You know, these were other decisions by other people, and that I had no control over. So life can kick you in the nuts sometimes, but if you hold on, it always gets better. And what I learned was, out of every dark bad thing that ever happened, something good always came out of it. And in the end, I could look back and go, that sucked and it was hard, but I'm glad I went through it because it put me where I'm at, and that's a pretty good place to be.
The
So
older I get, I believe life is less about me and more about those around me.
yeah,
I had a conversation with some
that's
guys
good.
at work on Friday, and they were asking me about getting older and sexual
Right.
drive and shit. And some of these guys are younger,
Sure.
and they want to they want to have sex every day,
Yeah,
and
like
this and that, and
5, 6 times a day.
right, and I'm like, I believe the reason those desires slow down and diminish is as we get older. If we were focused on sex as much at 45 and 50 as we were at 17 and 18,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to spread our knowledge now instead of being concentrated on
Instead of
spreading
spreading
our
your
seed.
seed, you
Right.
spread
We
knowledge.
get to spread the
Huh.
knowledge because now we're
I
not
like that.
focused on that. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
one guy was like,
I like
holy shit, like he had never,
that.
yeah,
Huh.
he was blown away. He was like,
That's that's a crazy way of looking at it.
I
I
don't know,
like
it's
that.
just
Makes
something I
sense.
thought of,
Yeah.
like,
Makes sense. Huh. No shit.
yeah.
Spread your
Whether
seed.
it's true or not, I
Or
don't know.
your
It's just
knowledge.
something I thought of, just
Wow.
something that kind of resonated with me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That is kind of a cool way of looking at it. I
Yeah.
like that.
And that's why I truly believe, it's more about those around us than it is about us,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. I like it.
Because even our own biology drives us to reproduce another version of us, right?
Right.
And we got to protect that version of
Oh,
us
yeah.
so it can have another version of
Right.
us,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
So we have to ensure that the version of us that we created
So it really
is
is a
well
male's
enough.
purpose to seek out and impregnate as many females as possible to ensure his own bloodline. Wow.
Maybe not
We
as
are
no,
animals.
no. I didn't say as many as
I'm kidding.
possible.
I'm busting you
I
nuts.
was saying the ones that we do,
Right.
we protect them, and the
Yeah.
ones that they gave
Right.
birth to,
Yeah.
and then we give them the knowledge to ensure the ones they give birth to,
Sure.
another third version
Yeah.
of us survives. You
Hey,
know. and-
question: were you gonna show the other camera
oh, yeah.
and
Yeah, I'll
kind of
show
do
you
the
guys.
announcement on that? Because
Yeah, we are
look at
getting
that.
close
Dun 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 dun.
to having a guest
Yeah, someone come in and hang out with us. And
Yeah, I think we've secured an individual that I think is going to be
fun.
probably going to take multiple times.
Probably to get all of it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, even in a
Yeah.
2-3 hour
Yeah,
podcast,
we're not gonna get it all.
we're going to be
No way.
scratching the surface.
But there's
so,
the empty seat,
Yep.
so we're gonna put someone in there. We're gonna have a guest, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exciting.
yeah, it is.
I already communicated with them. We got a
Yeah.
little paperwork to take care of,
Right?
but it looks like we're
It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to
finally.
Soon.
That's been
it. Yeah.
in the works. That's
Yep.
been some doing to figure this all out, and extra
It'll be
cameras and microphones and
Yeah.
so yeah, that is definitely
So
exciting.
there's
thanks,
the view.
thanks for reminding me about that
Yeah.
though, because
Yeah.
yeah,
Wanted to pump them up a little bit about it, cause yeah, it'll be fun. Oh, that'll be a good time. That'll be. There should be some funny stories getting flown back and
Oh,
forth
man.
on that one.
yeah. Oh
I
man,
can't wait.
that'll definitely
Yeah.
bring some laughs to the
Yeah,
table.
it'll be soon.
Maybe a tear.
Yep. Soon.
What do you think? 2 hours deep.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Call
that's
her.
probably deep enough.
Yeah.
I think if anyone's awake at the end of it.
Oh, I'm sure they're awake.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So yeah, do your thing. The light.
Yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Find it on all platforms. So even if you can't watch it on YouTube in video
Yeah.
form, you guys listen to it on podcasts on your way home from work, at work, mowing grass, raking leaves, whatever you may be doing, building your house on the weekend,
Sure.
rebuilding
Thumbs
the
up,
engine
guys.
in your car, whatever.
Hit it, please. Thumbs
Yeah,
up.
let people know.
Help us out.
Yeah, we're trying to
We put a lot of
help.
work into this.
Yeah,
We're
and
trying.
we're trying to
you know.
help people
Yep.
just have a different perspective on stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to
them
trigger
to think a
thought,
little.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.